Hallo, 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 hallo und willkommen bei Tales of Arise. Ich bin euer Infinity und ich hoffe, ihr hattet einen schönen guten Morgen. Gestern haben wir Starfield gestreamt, hatte leider ein bisschen Probleme am Anfang und auch währenddessen mit dem flackernden Bildschirm. Ich weiß nicht, ob das am neuen Patch lag. Ich hoffe es mal nicht, denn wenn das jetzt wenn das jetzt nächsten Mittwoch wieder ist, wenn ich Destiny sei schon Starfield mit euch zusammen streamen, dann werde ich irgendwie versuchen, dieses DLSS-Gedöns auszumachen. Denn eigentlich brauchen wir es nicht. Das Spiel läuft auch so von 144 Frames. Ich brauche keine 170 Frames in Starfield. Das bringt nur gar nichts. Deshalb keine Ahnung, wie man das lösen kann, aber da muss man mal gucken. Kümmere ich mich dann am Mittwoch drum. Beziehungsweise einen Tag vorher vielleicht. Gut, wir sind jetzt hier angekommen. Und zwar beim letzten Boss, beziehungsweise ich weiß nicht, ob es das Story-Ende sein wird, aber letztes Mal wurde ja gesagt, ab hier kannst du dann nichts mehr machen, etc, etc, etc. Weil ja die Story dann richtig krass vorangetrieben wird. Also tipp ich mal. Oh, ich glaube, wir sind falsch gelaufen, kann das? Ja. Tipp ich mal, dass die Story dann heute zu Ende geht. Ist aber nur eine Vermutung. Wissen kann ich es nicht. Wir werden es aber jetzt gleich herausfinden. Deswegen würde ich sagen, wir schnacken nicht lang, wir gehen jetzt rein. Und egal was da für ein Boss kommt, den dreht man da Arsch.
Soon, we might very well learn the truth behind Shion's thorns, as well as my own past. I have to be ready to face anything. But whatever happens, I'm determined to save Shion and Dana. Nothing I learn can change that.
Also ich glaube wirklich, dass jetzt egal was jetzt kommt, nach dem ist das Spiel rum. Zumindest für uns, das DLC kann ich jetzt noch nicht kaufen. Noch kann ich es mir noch nicht kaufen, sonst hätte ich das tatsächlich gleich im Anschluss gestreamt.
What is it?
I want to look through that room over there. I'm curious what we'll find.
That's the room you visited in your past, right? Sure. We can check it out.
Ich will da jetzt aber gerade mit rein. Muss. Ich werde gezwungen vom Spiel.
This looks like some kind of research facility.
Wie eine Zuchtstätte, wo wir gezüchtet
A
wurden, glaube ich.
laboratory secreted away in the Forbidden Zone. Why am I past being surprised at this point?
Looks pretty deserted.
Let's check it out. It might give us a new lead.
Erstmal nach Loot gucken und ich sehe es, wir haben unten rechts nochmal eine Interaktion, die machen wir auch.
For the people of Lenegus, the Forbidden Zone is the stuff of dreams. Yet here I am, standing within its hallowed halls.
It's off limits even for lords, then? Talk about an exclusive club.
Being exclusive is one thing, but how many important facilities let in only the Sovereign? Doesn't that seem a little strange?
Doch,
Strange
komisch.
doesn't cover it. If it was only one room, maybe. But a place on this scale? How did they keep it from falling into ruin? Whoever the Sovereign is, they can't manage the upkeep of this whole place themselves.
Did no one ever talk about it when you were growing up?
No, not that I can remember. Then again, sovereigns and forbidden zones weren't exactly breakfast table conversations.
The Forbidden Zone is a hallowed place, at one with the Sovereign's authority. Grounds of the one true ruler who presides over all Renans. That is what we believed this place to be. No, what we were made to believe it was. But now, it is finally time to discover this area's true purpose, and why it was kept hidden behind the scenes for so long.
Ich bin echt mal gespannt, wie sich die ganze Story auflöst. Ich habe ja vor 2 Streams, glaube ich, meine Theorie schon abgegeben, was mit Shion und Elfen und so weiter passiert. Ich bin mal gespannt, ob meine Theorie stimmt oder nicht.
I think I can make this work.
Well, can you make head or tail of it?
These are experiment records by the looks of it. Reams of them, dating back hundreds of years. Let's see. A composite being capable of controlling Danon astral energy so as to convert its molecular and elemental makeup. The creation of a governing central figure taking the form of a Danon.
Was hat die
Codename
Form eines
Sovereign.
Deners
Sovereign.
imitiert?
Wait, there's more. Research into utilizing force field crystals for the purpose of stable astral energy containment. That must be the master cores. With all this raw data, there's bound to be records here somewhere about the Maiden and the Lords, too.
About the Lords? Why would they be on there?
Think about it. The Lord's crests are clearly of a piece with those of both the Sovereign and the Maiden. Not to mention the fact that the contenders to the crown are selected from otherwise regular Renin citizens. In other words, it may be that all Renins are unwittingly being made subject to some kind of grand scheme.
What about the Sovereign? Does it say anything else?
Where do I start? All I've read so far is the headlines. There's so much here. To sift through all of it would require specialized... Wait.
What is it? Did you find something?
It's a list of names, with the title, Test Subjects, Sovereign. It's your call.
Read it.
There must be dozens of test subjects listed here. Hundreds even. All of them failures. Wait, I think I've found one that was successful.
Elfen.
Test subject number 1273. Ethnicity, NA. Unique adjustment index, generation, NA. Given name, Alphen.
War klar, dass wir das einzige Subjekt sind, wo überlebt haben. Wo überlebt hat, das war mir so klar.
They re-engineered me. Right here in this lab.
Ja.
Alphen.
It's fine, really. What about the others? Was I the only one?
Test subject number 10105. Ethnicity, NA. Unique adjustment index, generation, NA. Given name, Volron.
Der war auch einer.
But that means...
Kein
He's
Wunder.
only sovereign because someone made him that way too.
Kein Wunder, dass der uns
He's the
umbringen
last
will.
one. In 3 centuries worth of records, you and Volron are the only 2 subjects on whom the experiment was a success.
Dann ergibt es auch Sinn, warum der uns umbringen will, der Velron. Er will alleiniger Herrscher sein.
But what about the winners of the crown contests? Does this mean that none of them were ever crowned sovereign after all?
Upon victory, the Sovereign shall return to Rena and rule over Rena and Lenegis combined. When a new Sovereign is decided, the outgoing monarch shall relinquish their post and live out the rest of their days on Rena. So we were told. But according to these records, there have only ever been 2 Sovereigns, neither of whom had anything to do with the crown contest.
Ja.
It's all lies, including the part about the Sovereign residing in Rena. The crown contest was never about deciding a new ruler. It must always have been devised for some other purpose.
Ich habe jetzt eine Vermutung, bevor jetzt Dorlin weiterredet. Ich glaube, ja, dass dieses Turnier, der Kampf um die Krone, sage ich mal, ein Auswahlverfahren ist für die Leute, beziehungsweise für den Gewinner, sage ich mal, der, wo das Ganze dann gewinnt, ne? Der oder diejenige, dass der oder die dann für die Experimente genommen wird, für den Herrscher, also wo Elfen und Volren gemacht hat, ne? Für die gleichen Forschungszwecke genutzt wird. Und dass die meisten Herrscher, Anführungsstrichen, dann das nicht überlebt haben, bis auf Elfen und Volren. Wisst ihr, was ich meine? Und deswegen gibt es auch keine Überlebenden in dem Sinne. Weil ja eh alle gestorben sind. Aber es ist nur eine
Even
Theorie.
supposing that's true, someone must have been in charge for the past 3 centuries, right? If it wasn't the Sovereign, then who was it?
Crown contests have been held this whole time, in spite of the fact that there was already a sovereign. Me. Meaning that for the past 300 years, someone out there has to have been maintaining that lie. The same person I'm willing to bet is behind all this.
The Red Woman?
Das kann sein, die rote Frau, ja.
It's possible. But that doesn't necessarily mean she's the mastermind behind this scheme. She could be working for someone else. Someone back on the Renan homeworld.
Either way, it's fair to say she's definitely involved somehow.
Ja, das glaube ich auch.
What about the data records? Is there no other information that could help us?
Not that I can see. Just file upon file of experiment results. There's nothing here about who's behind all this, or what their endgame is, unfortunately. I've barely managed to scratch the surface, mind you. You won't be able to read through it all, but you're welcome to take a look through what you can, while we're here.
I'll do that.
So this is where Alphen became the Sovereign, and Volron as well. The significance of this location would suggest...
Hey, it looks like the terminals in here turned on too.
We should look through them. They might contain valuable information.
Only 2 sovereigns in over 300 years. So why has the experiment only succeeded twice in all this
Das
time?
frage ich mich auch, warum es
And
nur
if that's
zweimal
the
geglückt
case,
ist.
why keep on doing it? Was there really no other way? Or could there be some other reason?
Dohalim.
Forgive me.
Alphen.
I'm fine. I'm just a little shaken, that's all. I knew what I was already, so it's not like it's a surprise or anything.
Das stimmt.
It's strange. I've got all this rage inside of me, but I don't even know who it's for. I'm scared that I'll put a face to it, just to have someone to blame.
If that were to happen, then No. Then we'd help you fight it, before you ever got that far. Wouldn't we, everyone?
Yeah, we wouldn't just sit by and watch you spiral out of control.
That's right. No good can come from being consumed by hatred.
If you ever start to lose your way, you can count on us to guide you back. To remind you where home is.
And I would be happy to lend an attentive ear, should you ever have need.
Thank you, everyone. I think I'll be okay now.
Wähle ein Thema, zu dem du mehr erfahren möchtest. Der Herrscher, die Jungfrau. Der Herrscher fungiert als Lenegis zentrale Steuerungseinheit für die Geisterbeschwörung. Jeder hat eine Stufe, 2 Autorität und ein Wappen. Ein dänisches Zielobjekt dient als Basis seiner Erschaffung. Ideale Kandidaten haben eine gleiche Affinität zu jedem Astralelement. Das ist wichtig. Das heißt, wir können eigentlich nicht nur Feuer nutzen, sondern alles. Diese Eigenschaften sind unter den Bedingungen der echten Welt statistisch, jedoch selten vorzufinden. Infolgedessen sterben die meisten Zielobjekte während der Angleichungsphase und selbst bei der Überlebenden ist keine Stabilität garantiert. Und wahrscheinlich war Elfen unstabil und hat deswegen ganz Lenegis am Arsch gemacht, wahrscheinlich. Diese Instabilität kann in Verbindung mit der Macht zur Astralmanipulation des Herrschers ein großes Sicherheitsrisiko für Lenegis darstellen. Wenn der Herrscher in der Geisterbeschwörungszeremonie eingesetzt wird, ist ein Unterstützungsmechanismus zur Stabilisierung erforderlich. Zusatz 1. Es wurde keine effektive alternative Methode zur Zeremonie gefunden. Tests an dänischen Zielen dürfen fortgesetzt werden. Zusatz 2. Einheit 2 Angleichungen waren erfolgreich. Weitere Angleichungen werden während der Beobachtung ausgesetzt. Wähle ein Thema, zu dem du mehr erfahren willst. Die Jungfer. Die Jungfer fungiert als Unterstützungsmechanismus für die Geisterbeschwörung. Jede Jungfer hat eine Stufe 2 Autorität und ein Wappen. Ein renäisches Zielobjekt stellt dem Herrscher das ergänzende dunkle Astral zusammen mit dem Renas Alma zur Verfügung. Dunkles Astral, ist das nicht diese dunkle Kugel, mir fällt der Name jetzt nicht ein. Während der Zeremonie kümmert es sich teilweise um die Astralenergieumwandlung sowie um die Stabilität der eigenen Macht des Herrschers. Es wurde ferner beobachtet, dass das Maß an Intimität zwischen ihm und dem Herrscher positive Auswirkungen auf die Stabilität der Zielobjekte hat. Aus diesem Grund sind Testaktivierungen des Herrschers in Abwesenheit der Jungfer ausdrücklich verboten. Außerdem sind weder der Herrscher noch die Jungfrau über die Einzelheiten der Geisterbeschwörung in Kenntnis zu setzen. Zusatz 1. Die mentale Instabilität der Jungfrau gilt als Ursache für die Untriebe des letzten Herrschers. Gegenmaßnahmen sind zu erwägen. Also aus dem Satz lese ich jetzt, dass eigentlich, zumindest laut den Wissenschaftlern, die Jungfer von Elfen, was ja nicht Shion ist, sondern ich denke mal Shion ist Mutter, schuld ist, dass Elfen so ausgetickt ist. Aber es ist jetzt nur eine Theorie. Zusatz 2. Gemäß der Plananpassung wird die Jungferregistrierung des jetzigen Zielobjekts widerrufen und sie kehren in ihre Familie zurück. Okay, mehr können wir nicht lesen. Dann haben wir hier noch was. Wähle ein Thema. Lords. Bei jedem Kampf um die Krone werden 5 der fähigsten renäischen Bürger als Lords ausgewählt und treten an, der nächste Herrscher zu werden. Während ihrer Herrschaft wird ihnen Stufe 3 Autorität sowie 1 von 5 Elementarreichen mitsamt des entsprechenden Meisterkerns verliehen. Sie erhalten außerdem ein Wappen, das ihr jeweiliges Element ausweist. Die Auswahl berücksichtigt nur die Astralkünste sowie körperliche und geistige Eigenschaften. Andere Faktoren wie Altern haben keinen Einfluss. Da nur die stärksten Renea-Lords werden, verleiht der Titel einem Lord keine zusätzliche Kraft. Es ist jedoch zu beachten, dass Lords nicht die einzigen sind, die einen Meisterkern seine Macht entlocken können. Alle Renäer müssen am Auswahlvorgang teilnehmen, um die Annahme des Titels ist Pflicht. Geeignete Kandidaten dürfen darauf nicht verzichten. Falls ein amtierender Lord nicht mehr in seiner Rolle dienen kann, muss schnell ein Ersatz gefunden werden. Wähle ein Thema zu dem blablabla. Dies ist ein Bericht zum zweiten erfolgreichen Experiment an einem Herrscher-Testobjekt. Testobjekt Nummer 10.105, Name Wellrun, Generation keine Ahnung, individuelle Angleichungsindex, Ethnie keine Ahnung. Oder keine Angabe. Das Zielobjekt weist ein hohes latentes Potenzial auf, zeigt jedoch Merkmale mentaler Instabilität sowie eine starke Abneigung, Befehle zu befolgen. Das haben wir gesehen. Die Risiken, die es darstellt, übertreffen sogar die des letzten erfolgreichen Zielobjekts. Das selbst scheiterte, seine Beseitigung wird erwogen. Zusatz. Dies ist der erste erfolgreiche Fall in 300 Jahren. Die zuvor genannten Risiken wurden dank Kontrollprotokollen inzwischen minimiert. Zielobjekt wird unter der Annahme beobachtet, dass Plan 2 umgesetzt wird und in Dana und unter der Tarnung eines Lords eingesetzt. Wähle ein Thema zu dem blablabla. Gut, mehr findet man nicht mehr raus. Doch, guck mal hier. Alter, ich lese mir das alles durch, ne? Meisterkerne sind Machtinstrumente und enthalten Astralenergie, die zu einem der 6 Elemente gehört. 5 dieser Meisterkerne für Erde, Wasser, Feuer, Wind und Licht sind beim Kampf um die Krone jederzeit an renäische Lords entliehen. Nur der dunkle Meisterkern verbleibt unter strengen Geheimhaltung in der verbotenen Zone, bis das Renas Alma bereit zur Reformation ist. Unter dem rundum äußeren Ring des Meisterkerns befindet sich eine Kraftfeldkristall zur Verwahrung der Astralenergie und Stabilität. Die Astralenergie wird im Inneren des Kraftfelds in einem inaktiven Zustand verwahrt. Während ihrer Herrscher treten alle Lords im Kampf um die Krone an, um ihre jeweilige Art von Astralenergie anzusammeln. In Notlage darf jeder Lord wie erforderliche Astralenergie von seinem jeweiligen Vorrat entziehen. Die zulässige Menge hängt jedoch von seiner individuellen Stärke ab. Zusatz 1. Es wurden Designfehler bei der Art und Weise entdeckt, wie sich das Renas Alma materialisiert. Hinweis: Aktive Meisterkerne können mit anderen Meisterkernen in der Nähe Resonanzen bilden und dadurch instabil werden. Das haben wir auch gesehen. Zusatz 2. Nach der erfolgreichen Regeneration des Renners Alma werden die Meisterkerne nicht mehr genutzt. Den Kampf um die Krone wird beendet. Geisterkerne. Geisterkerne sind Endstellen für die Ansammlung von Astralenergie. Wenn sie in biologische Zielobjekte eingelassen sind, erreichen sie Verbindung durch seinen ganzen Körper. Durch diese Verbindung wird Astralenergie aus körperlichen Aktivitäten gesammelt und schließlich vom Wirtskörper selbst ausgestoßen. Weil sich diese ausgestoßene Energie rasch verflüchtigt, muss der Wirt in Reichweite eines Geistergefäßes sein, das die Energie sammelt. Das bedeutet, dass Däner zur Ernte der Astralenergie im Rahmen des Kampfes um die Krone einzusetzen sind. Aufgrund der schwierigen Herstellung ist es ratsam, dass die Geisterkerne nach dem Tod des Wirts aus seinem Körper zurückgewonnen werden. Geisterkerne können auch in Zeugel eingelassen werden, um sie durch Astralarzt zu steuern. Zusatz. Erhöhte körperliche Belastung eines Wirtskörpers erzeugt tendenziell mehr ausgestoßene Astralenergie. Die endgültige Bestätigung der idealen Belastung vom Wirtskörper zur idealen Astralenergieausbeute ohne zum Tod zu führen steht noch aus. Ja, guck mal, das ist alles hardcore geplant. Okay, mehr Terminals haben wir nicht. Außer da hinten, aber da komme ich irgendwie nicht hin. Ah doch, ich komme da hin. Ha. Ein Apparat, der das Gesicht des Trägers bedeckt und seine mentale Aktivität einschränkt. Er wurde zur Ruhigstellung von Gefangenen entwickelt. Sie kommen auch im medizinischen Bereich zum Einsatz, insbesondere um zu verhindern, dass Patienten ein psychisches Trauma erleiden. Dieser Einsatz ist aber nicht ratsam, da durch eine langfristige Verwendung das Risiko schädlicher Nebenwirkungen ansteigt. Zusatz. Durch das Verlust der Produktionsstätte bei der Zerstörung von Lennegis werden keine weiteren Geräte mehr hergestellt. Dann war das, was Elfen am Anfang des Spiels bis ungefähr zur Mitte des Spiels auf der Banner gehabt hatten, eine Betäubungsmaske. Interessant. Nachdem Meldungen über eine stabile neue Herrschaftsform in Danas Wasserreich aufkamen, wurde ein Untersuchungsbericht beauftragt. Das System ist insofern einzigartig, als es nur der Lord zur höchsten Autorität erhebt, während Renäer wie Däner versklavt werden. Testobjekt Nummer 10.105 dient als derzeitiger Lord des Reichs und hat dieses Titel ohne Einsatz besonderer Macht, Drogen oder Geräte erlangt. Vielmehr gelang es ihm durch seine reine Führung angesichts der wirksamen Bevölkerungskontrolle der Methode, wie die Situation weiter beobachten. Zusatz 1. Der Schlüssel seiner Herrschaft scheint in Auslöschung kognitiver Fähigkeiten durch gewaltsame physische Unterdrückung zu liegen. Sobald ein Zielobjekt seine Autonomie verliert, wird es für Angst desensibilisiert und ignoriert. Infolge selbst seine persönliche Sicherheit. Während eines solchen Zustands für Befehlshaber ungeeignet ist, ist er ein effizientes Mittel zur Kultivierung austauschbarer Infanterie und Sklaven. Das haben wir ja gesehen bei Valorant, wie er die in den Tod geschickt hat, einfach so, und die haben nichts gemacht. Zusatz 2. Soldaten in Lennegis, die die Behandlung unterzogen werden, werden teilweise zur Sicherung in geschützten Bereichen eingesetzt. Alter, das ist schon hardcore interessant, ne? Lennegis. Eine groß angelegte Astralenergie-Umwandler, der hauptsächlich die Elementarzusammensetzung von Danas Astralenergie umwandelt und an Rena sendet. Die Aktivierung und Steuerung der Astralenergieumwandlung geschieht durch den Herrscher. Die Jungfer und das Rennes Alma im zentralen Kern. Lennegis besteht aus geheimen und essentiellen Personalwohnvierteln um einen großen Leiter herum, geschützt durch eine Verteidigungszone. Die äußeren Ringe wird bei Aktivierung entfaltet und legt den zentralen Leiter frei, während er gleichzeitig zur Stabilisierung dient. Aufgrund seines Aufbaus ist er bei der Entfaltung des äußeren Rings eine Beschädigung der Wohnviertel zu erwarten. Das haben wir auch gesehen. Da es jedoch nur während der letzten Stufe der Geisterbeschwörungszeremonie dazu kommt, ist kein Notfallplan für diese Schäden erforderlich. Bis zu dieser Phase dient Lennegis als zentrales Einsatzbasis für die Verwaltung und Durchführung des Kampfes um die Krone auf Dana. Warnung: Personal mit Stufe 3 Autorität oder niedriger ist der Zutritt zur verbotenen Zone strikt untersagt. Eindringlinge werden exekutiert. Bedeutet aber, dass die jetzt gerade eine Zeremonie vorbereiten, weil wir sind ja gerade in dieser Phase von Lennegis. Ein riesiges Geistergefäß, das für die Geisterbeschwörungszeremonie in Dana platziert wurde. Es dient als Spitze von Lennegis Energieleiter. Wenn er in dänischer Gewässern landet, fährt er 2 Reihen an Leitungsarmen aus. Die vertikalen Arme sind mit dem Zentrum Danas verbunden. Die horizontalen Arme umhüllen gleichzeitig die gesamte Oberfläche Danas. Nach der Aktivierung verbindet er sich mit dem biologischen Geistergefäß in jedem Reich und erntet so die gesamte Astralenergie des Planeten. Die gesammelte Energie wird dann über Lenegis an Rena übertragen. Da der Bau und die Anpassung im Regulierungsbereich der verbotenen Zone stattfindet, wird Lenegis äußerer Ring von dem Staat entfaltet. Aufgrund seiner halbautonomen Funktionsweise ist nur bei Bedarf der Einsatz von Wartungspersonal erforderlich. Abgesehen davon ist kein Personaleinsatz nötig, um die Funktion zu gewährleisten. Zusatz 1. Der abtrennbare Ernte. Ein explodierter durch das Wüten des Herrschers auf Dana und wurde zerstört. Zusatz 2. Der Landepunkt der abtrennbaren Ernters 2 entspricht dem Landepunkt des Vorgängermodells. Das liegt an der Explosion des Vorgängermodells, das die planetare Topographie verändert, was die Verbindung mit dem zentralen Danas erleichtert. So, jetzt haben wir alles gelesen, mehr können wir nicht mehr lesen. Gibt es jetzt noch irgendwo Loot? Also ich hätte mir gern tatsächlich noch 1-2 Terminals mehr gewünscht. Gerade über Elfen und die Jungfer. Also wahrscheinlich schon, das Mutter tippe ich jetzt einfach mal. Wobei ich mir auch vorstellen könnte, dass Shione auch hier gezüchtet wird, wie Elfen, sage ich mal. Trank des Lebens. Du verlierst Schätze, die dein Inventar und deine Brieftasche voll ist. Bist du sicher? Dann lassen wir das. Ein Raum, der über 300 Jahrhunderte hinweg unverändert geblieben ist, so als ob hier die Zeit selbst stehen geblieben wäre. Wird auch wahrscheinlich so sein. Ist hier noch irgendwas Interessantes? Eine Nachricht. Dieser Bereich wird jetzt geschlossen, da das Projekt in die Endphase geht. Ja, ich sag ja, die sind jetzt in der Phase, wo sie wieder jemanden Neues züchten. Beziehungsweise einen neuen Herrscher raufbeschwören wollen. Ausrüstung zur Überwachung der Testperson. Wahrscheinlich gab es auch einen Mechanismus zur Fehlerbeseitigung, das glaube ich auch. Du siehst viele Zahlen, sieht nach Protokollen aus über den Abgleich zwischen Testperson und Lenegis selbst. Eine Lücke, Erinnerungslücke. Ja, das ist diese Maske, wovon ich gerade vorgelesen habe, vor ein paar Minuten.
Naori, I...
Don't talk. I have to do this. I gave you my word that I'd help you return to Dana. The next time you open your eyes, you'll be home.
But you...
My place is here with my people. I still have a duty to fulfill. I'm sorry for what you've endured. Renan never should have dragged you into this. It's not your burden to bear.
But...
The mask contains a sedative. It should keep your mind from tearing itself apart any further. Let yourself go to sleep. This should help with the pain. Time to go, Elfin.
Hä, was meint die mit unser Geist sich weiter spaltet? Meint sie, weil Elfen und ein Herrscher in seinem Körper ist, oder wie meint sie das?
Short-term treatment isn't going to cut it. I'll have to switch the healing pod to long-term hibernation mode. The chance of surviving hibernation's less than 10%? And worse, long-term use of the mask carries a high risk of damaging his mind and nervous system. But... If I don't head back, Lenegis will be nothing but ashes. And this starship along with it.
Hä, warte mal ganz kurz, jetzt bin ich verwirrt. Wir haben ja gesehen, vor ein paar Cutscenes, dass ja Elfen angeblich Lennegis zerstört hat. Jetzt sehen wir aber, dass Elfen da drin sitzt und sich ja eigentlich gar nicht bewegen kann und irgendwas anderes Lennegis zerstört. Vielleicht war ja jemand anderes derjenige, der Lennegis zerstört hat und Elfen ist nur kurz ausgetickt und ist ohnmächtig geworden und hat eigentlich gar nichts kaputt gemacht. Das wäre eine Wendung.
I don't know if I can fulfill my promise to you, Alphen. But if doing this will grant you even the slightest chance, I have to try. I hope it's enough. Please, live for me, Alphen.
That vision. It must have been from when Naori helped Alphen escape Lennegis.
She sure went above and beyond the call of duty.
Ja, das stimmt.
Even with Lennegis crumbling down around her, she chose to stay put with her people.
So that's why you lost your memories and sense of pain, and why you were asleep for that whole time. It was all the result of one agonizing decision Naori made to save your life.
Yeah. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't even be alive today. I owe her everything. More than I could ever hope to repay.
Now that you know how she felt, how do you plan on honoring her wishes?
She kept her promise. If the Renan people she fought so desperately to protect are at risk from a malevolent force, then I owe it to her to carry on her fight. Naori was the one who put that mask on me.
Dann gehen wir rein.
Made me Iron Mask.
She did it to prevent your soul from tearing itself apart. She knew you might lose your memories and sense of pain as a result. But more than anything, she wanted...
Hey, das ist schon hart, das Spiel, ne?
And you did.
Dies ist wahrscheinlich wieder Bossraum. Nee. Dafür ist zu klein. Aber wir verlieren unser Essensbonus. Kraftschmankerl. Okay, hier drin ist Bait, hier ist gar nichts. Okay, das sieht so aus wie auf dem...
We've seen this in one of Naori's memories.
Of course.
Ja.
After 300 years, this is where it was held. The spirit channeling ceremony. This is where the Renis Alma was.
So this is the place where you and Naori...
The Renis Alma isn't here now. Nor is the Red Woman, it seems.
I know it's difficult, Alphen, but there will be time to dwell on the past later. For now, we need to keep moving. Come on.
Was machen die da?
Naori?
What is this? Is it the work of Dana's will again?
It's been a year since the ceremony. That day, I shut away inside of myself the power that caused Alphen to lose control. Since then, my visions of the future have grown more and more fearsome.
Was, die hat ihre Macht in
Is this another
Elfen?
memory? No, It's different this time. It's like
Versiegelt.
she's speaking directly to us.
What we did back then. Not so much as a day passes when I don't think about it. About what was done to us. All in the name of a ceremony. The purpose of which we were never even told. As Sovereign, they linked Elfin's consciousness to Lenegis itself. The Renis Alma was intended to control his power, lest anything should slip through its cracks. That day, as Maiden, my role was to temper his power. I was meant to guide it forth, and give shape to the strength inside of him.
Linked to Lenegis itself? But then, everything that's been happening.
But that power showed me a vision. A vision of oblivion. When I realized that vision was a prophecy of the apocalypse we were about to unleash, I couldn't go through with it. But without a maiden, the ceremony was doomed. Alphen lashed out, his consciousness no longer his own. I did what I could. Using my abilities as the maiden, I tried to seal that power away inside of me. But it was too late. Lenegis had already been brought to its knees. Thousands upon thousands of lives so cruelly snuffed out.
Okay, dann war es wirklich Elfen.
All because of me. Because of what I had done. With the destructive force now slumbering inside of me, I knew I had to find a way to dispose of it. Anything to make up for my failure. But I didn't know how. Especially since that power was astral energy itself. In which case, ironically enough, the Renis Alma seemed to be my best bet.
Ich ahne Böses.
That at least would hold the astral energy dormant. Assuming that no malevolent third party got to it first. With the Sovereign and Maiden's combined power, perhaps I could shift the chaotic energy inside me into the Renis Alma instead. That's what I hoped, but alas, it was not to be. The Renis Alma was lost, and Alphen, the Sovereign, was in a starship bound for Dana. My only choice was to seal away the destructive force inside of me using my powers as the Maiden, to buy the world what little time I could. The time needed for a new Renis Alma to be crafted, and for a new Sovereign to appear. Even if by doing so, it meant I would be passing the curse on to my descendants as well.
Was habe ich gesagt? Das ist die Mutter von Shione.
Please, forgive me. I never meant to burden the future world with this threat too. I only wish that there was something more I could have done.
Und ich wette mit euch, die Dornen sind die Macht. Wo sie meint. Weil das hat ja Shione. Und die hat die gleichen apokalyptischen Visionen.
Was it directly from Naori? Or was it the Danon voice speaking through her?
Seht ihr, was habe ich gesagt?
What?
These are the clothes that Naori and I wore during the ceremony 3 centuries ago.
So you're saying this is the Maiden's outfit?
Yeah.
That's right. These clothes are designed to resonate with the Sovereign and Maiden's abilities. They focus and enhance them.
And they appeared now because...
Naori must have left them here for the new Sovereign and Maiden, knowing the day would come when they would need them in their fight against the Thorns.
These outfits are directly linked to the answers we've been chasing this whole time. If they're here, it must mean it was Naori's will for us to find those answers as well.
Locating the Renis Alma would allow us to neutralize the dark astral energy inside Shion, thereby silencing her thorns. Is that what Naori's suggesting?
It makes sense. After all, Master Cores and Spirit Vessels are both able to prevent the astral energy inside them from developing sentience. By that logic, it would stand to reason that the Renis Alma would have the same ability on a larger scale.
We have a maiden in Sovereign. Now all we need is the Renis Alma, and we'll finally be able to free you of your thorns. Shion.
It's possible? You really think so?
I do. We can rid you of your thorns and stop the world from falling to oblivion.
However, the spirit channeling ceremony already failed once. Even if our goal is different this time, we can't be sure the same thing won't happen again. We should take care not to be too optimistic.
You're right. It's the barest sliver of a chance. But if there's even the slightest hope it can work, I'm willing to stake everything I've got on it.
I know it's too early to let myself feel relieved, but I just can't seem to help it. Just hearing there's the slightest chance, even though I know the world's still in great peril. It's selfish of me, I know, but still.
No, it isn't. You found hope to believe in. It'd be strange if you weren't over the moon about it.
Rinwell's right. We can rid you of your curse and still save the world at the same time.
Thank you. Naori entrusted us with the fate of all humanity. Now, it's up to us to prove that trust was well placed.
Starting with a little game called Hunt the Renis Alma.
Yeah, we've come all this way. Now we just need to search Lenegis and Rena until we find it.
Yeah, we can protect the world and save Shion at the same time.
I too shall lend my services. My knowledge of Renin lore is bound to be a useful asset.
And they say modesty is dead.
Miracles just seem to follow wherever you go, huh?
How do you know it's me they're following? We're all in this together, Shion. You included. Now let's get moving, shall we? Last I heard, we had an apocalypse to stop. Thank you, Naori.
Da war gerade ein Schreibfehler. Soweit ich weiß, nicht soweit es weiß.
So Naori sealed away the power that made me lose control of myself. She stopped my rampage and saved my life. But then, that power she'd sealed away was passed down to you.
Ja.
I'm so sorry, Shion. It's my fault that you're cursed.
You're wrong. What happened to you was because of the ceremony and Naori's attempt to stop oblivion. You paid a heavy price for it, and then fell asleep for 300 years. The reason you lost your memories
is the reason for your curse.
The thorns.
Ja.
It all leads back to them. But once they're gone, we can finally put an end to all this.
When my thorns are gone, I never dared to dream that such a thing could be possible. No, the truth is, I think maybe I've always been dreaming about a life without my thorns. The touch of my family, or playing with my friends, holding hands with Rinwell, or giving Law a deserved smack, embracing everyone. All the normal things that people do together. I always wished I could experience them for myself, and finally know what they were like. Is it really okay for me to believe it can happen? I'm so scared of getting my hopes up. What if it doesn't work out in the end, and...
That's not going to happen. I'm here to make sure it won't. Forget fate or destiny or anything else. We're going to live a normal life. There are a lot of things you still want to do, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's such a strange feeling. I know that we've still got plenty of fighting up ahead. And it's for my sake. So I can live.
You're worth fighting for.
I believe you, Alphen.
Good. I'll keep on fighting. For as long as it takes. Until our future is finally in our hands.
Emblem erworben. Die letzte Jungfer. Ich weiß jetzt halt nur nicht, ob das confirm ist, dass Shion jetzt wirklich die Tochter ist von der Sodail Artalis. Ich weiß nicht, ob man das so ausspricht. Ein Schwert für den auserwählten Herrscher. Es entlockt ihm seine verborgenen Kräfte, um die Geisterbeschwörungszeremonie durchzuführen. Gan Artalis. Zeremonielle Kleidung, die von dem erwählten Herrscher verliehen wird und ihm erlaubt, die enormen Kräfte der Geisterbeschwörungszeremonie zu ertragen. Zeremonielle Tracht für die erwählte Jungfer, bla bla bla. Ach, sie hat keine Waffe bekommen, das ist ja gemein. Oh, aber das Bild sieht cool aus, das Hintergrundbild. Das Schwert sieht auch übelst sick aus. Aber warum haben die denn kein... Warum hatten sie keine Waffe bekommen? Alter, das passt richtig gut. Das passt verdammt gut optisch. Aber die sind viel zu groß. Sonst hätte ich es jetzt natürlich drin gelassen.
Sounds like this Naori chick had quite the big heart.
Her position demanded nothing less. From the sound of things, she didn't focus on differences, least of all those between Renans and Danans.
Yeah. It was Naori who first showed me that such a thing was even possible. And then she saved my life by sending me back home to Dana.
Not only that, but she willingly stayed behind on Lenegis for the sake of her people. It sounds like she was quite the hero, all right. A truly caring person.
It's as if walls meant nothing to her. The ones separating the Renans from the Danans, or herself from others. She had no need for them.
Which basically meant that she never had anything to break down in the first place, huh? Yeah. I think you may be right about that.
You inherited that legacy. Her wish for the world.
Don't I know it?
She's kind of like a lodestar guiding our way, showing us what we can aspire to.
Das stimmt. Können wir da jetzt eigentlich noch was machen? Der Sockel, auf dem das Serenis Alma vor 300 Jahren stand, jetzt verströmt er keine Spur von Macht. Auch interessant. Dass es da jetzt keine Macht mehr zu spüren gibt. Ich finde unser neues Outfit echt cool. Und das von Shion auf jeden Fall. Also da stand jetzt gerade, dass sie eine Vorfahrin Shiones ist. Nicht, dass es dass Shione die Tochter ist. Aber ich vermute, dass Shione die Tochter ist von ihr. Zumindest in der gleichen Blutlinie. Das sieht nach Bossraum aus.
That's quite some door, all right. This might finally be it. The heart of the beast.
We'll find the Renis Alma and the Red Woman inside, right?
Hoffen wir's.
After everything we've been through to get here, they damn well better be.
We'll probably be needing you to open this one for us, Sovereign.
Go for it, Alphen.
This is it, guys. Time to see what secrets are in store.
Ich bin jetzt echt mal gespannt. Okay, hier können wir uns nochmal komplett rein.
We're a long way from the residential quarters now. It looks completely different.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, this place... It reminds me more of being back inside the wedge.
Ja, ich wollte gerade
Except the
sagen.
Danon astral energy feels even stronger here.
In a portion of the city reserved purely for the Renin Sovereign.
Maybe he just has strange tastes?
This place looks like it has been here for quite some time now. If its design were a matter of personal preference, we would be talking from centuries ago. Or perhaps even further back. Still, this isn't the sort of decadence of taste spoken of in artistic circles. So what is it then?
Hold up, decadence? Artistic circles?
When a preference is indulged to its extreme, it descends into kitsch, eccentricity for the sake of it. I'd be happy to illuminate you further.
That depends. Does it involve you buying me lunch?
The void that art fills isn't the stomach, it's the soul.
In that case, I'll let you know the next time my soul starts to rumble.
Now all we need is something to fill up the void inside your head.
Shut up!
Jo. So, wir speichern hier. Ich weiß nämlich nicht, wie stark dieser Boss sein wird. Deshalb lieber vorsichtig wie nachsichtig, ne?
Volron! He really was still alive.
Oh, aber der ist
And there's the
angekettet.
Renis Alma. Then, is this another spirit channeling ceremony?
Anscheinend.
Wait though, something doesn't seem right here.
Der babbelt irgendwas.
Once more, the powers must be united. Born from the fires of chaos, the world does seek its rightful state. All must be sacrificed in the heart of Rena, at the shrine of the true sovereign.
What has happened to him? He's lost himself, reduced to a mere cog in a machine.
Hey look, over there!
Isn't that the Maiden's crest?
Ja.
Can it be that this entire chamber is meant to act as a substitute for the Maiden?
It looks
Boy.
like it's still running, but are we already too late to stop the ceremony?
If that's what caused Lenegis' transformation, then the purpose of the ceremony must have been to drain all the astral energy out of Dana.
But for what purpose? What could possibly need astral energy on that sort of scale?
Ich will's nicht wissen.
I don't know. But whatever it is, I'll bet it's connected to those visions of oblivion.
Das glaube ich auch.
Regardless, we cannot stand by and let them steal Dana's energy. That said, we should retrieve the Renis Alma. Because right now, we need that most of all.
He's not gonna lunge at us out of nowhere, right?
Not the time, Law. The Red Woman! So we finally found you. I have a lot of questions for you.
Wait!
What?
They all have the same face. How is that even possible?
Okay. Alter, das sieht so widerlich aus. Eine richtige Dämone. Ui. Schüttelt's mich. Krasse Schuhe, Mädel. Wie kannst du da drin laufen? Okay, das ist kein Mädel mehr, das ist ein Dämon. Das ist wirklich ein Dämon.
It can't be. Are they even people?
Nee, das sind keine Menschen.
It's hard to know for sure, but I think they're the true rulers of Rena.
Das glaube ich auch. Rote Frau. Ich glaube, das wird jetzt ein richtiger ekelhafter Bossfight.
Good point. Let's stop them before this gets out of hand.
Here goes!
Can you take it?
Not in your dreams!
Die kriegt halt überhaupt kein Damage, ne?
This one's all mine. Eat dirt. Vacuum blade.
Die kippt ja nicht mal um. Also hier sind Fernkämpfer auf jeden Fall deutlich ein Vorteil im Gegensatz zu mir.
Not now, not ever. Now you see what I can do. I'll face you. You picked the wrong fight.
Umso mehr ich der Schaden zufüge, umso stärker wird sie. Also down, keine Chance. So, alle die auch gleich mal. Ich kann die ja nicht mal betäuben mit meiner Kraft im Flammenschwert. Das ist ja das Krasse. Bla bla bla, Matrix. Ich bin wieder tot, keine Chance. Alter, was zur Hölle?
You picked the wrong fight from beyond. Vacuum blade. Vanquished soul with light. Vacuum blade. Shine. Radiant light. Force of regenerate. The earth.
Wir haben sie gleich zur Hälfte. Aber der Kampf ist deutlich schwieriger als alle anderen. Ah, ich bin gleich so wieder tot. Winterlauf. Aua.
Stay away from my friend. Shine. Radiant light. Force of regeneration. I'll smash you. Shine. Radiant light. Ignite. Force of regeneration.
Radiant light! Here!
Regenerate.
I'm out of arrows in the wind! Here, thrust! A chain between heaven and earth!
Ich weiß halt nicht mehr, ob man die hier wegmachen kann. Also die zusätzlichen Biester da. Also das sind ja nicht alles die wirkliche rote Frau. Alter, die macht so ein Damage. Oh ne, weit aus. So, Lin ist down. Weg, weg. Wir brauchen auf jeden Fall wieder HP. Ja, das ist kritisch. Das ist echt kritisch. Wo habe ich überhaupt noch Sachen? Ja, 30 HP. Ist zwar nicht die Welt, aber ein bisschen was. Noch ein Balken hat das Vieh. Dann haben wir. Ausweichen, ausweichen, ausweichen. Wow, Alle war das knapp. Mystischer Scharlach Inferno. Bringt halt gar nichts, nur das Scharlach Inferno. Ja, jetzt bin ich down. Ihr müsst halt schon heilen, Leute. Ja, dass wenn ich tot bin. Wir brauchen wieder. Ausweichen. Die kaputt, die Scheißvieh. Jetzt haben wir das. Göttlicher Phönix-Zyklon. Das war wahrscheinlich noch nicht alles.
Surrender! Fighting is useless now!
Do you think it's really over?
Nee, glaube ich nicht. Es wäre zu einfach.
Watch out! They've got something up their sleeve.
Boah, Alter.
What? It's self-destructed?
Alphen!
I'm okay. Just a little roughed up.
You had me worried there.
Who said you could touch that?
Cody, du hast ihn schon mal nicht
He's
besiegt.
awake! I should have thought as much. So you know this place? Naturally. It was built for me, after all.
Was?
We'll save that for another time. More pressing is how I'm going to tear you apart. Even after all this time, you still insist on hating me? You cut me down. Sovereign or not, you will pay for that.
You're obviously bluffing. You can't even move right now.
Da wäre ich mir nicht so sicher. Ich wollte gerade sagen, da wäre ich mir nicht sicher.
Did you really think that such a petty device could hold me?
Are you going to claim it's because you're a ruler? Be it sovereigns or lords. In the end, they're all titles given by someone else.
Plus, what kind of ruler would spend all his time chasing Alf, who happens to be another sovereign?
Idle prattle. I proved my worth and the Sovereign's powers were granted to me.
Were they really? We already know the title of Sovereign doesn't denote royalty. It is but an overblown codename for those with a designated part to play in these proceedings. You mentioned before that you were not the only one stolen from Dana, correct?
Yeah. There were countless. And every one of them besides me died.
All of those failed experiments, and they still kept going back to Dana. There must have been some vital reason their subject had to specifically be a Danan. Then there were the records we found in the library.
Das
for
frage
you
ich mich
and
auch.
Volron. They were locked 300 years apart, and yet the data they took from you was exactly the same.
which leads us to a single conclusion.
Ich habe eine Theorie. Achtung, bevor jetzt Soalim weiterredet, der schlaue Boy. Ich weiß, glaube ich, auf was er hinaus will. Und zwar, also es kann sein, dass ich falsch liege, ist nur eine Vermutung, aber ich glaube, dass er denkt, dass nur alle 300 Jahre ein Nachfahre geboren wird von Elfens Stammbaum, der die Kraft des Herrschers in sich tragen kann. Wenn ihr versteht, was ich meine. Das würde dann aber bedeuten, dass Valron eigentlich, so gesehen per se, blutsverwandt ist mit Elfen. Aber wir werden gleich sehen, ob das wirklich meiner Theorie entspricht oder nicht, was Doalim jetzt sagen wird. Kann auch sein, dass ich mich jetzt komplett irre, aber das wäre jetzt meine These.
Then you mean Voron was kidnapped just like Alphen? But then he became
A slave from Dana. Just like us. Isn't that right, Voron?
So he posed as a Renin and caused all that suffering to his own people?
How could you? If you knew the pain of being a slave, why would you inflict that upon others?
Renin and Danon are meaningless distinctions. Me and everyone else. That is all that matters. I will stand above all others and take what is rightfully mine, starting with this.
Oh, beautiful.
A red woman?
Another one?
Give your master back on Rena this message. No one makes a fool of me. Let them know I'll make them suffer.
Don't do it!
Serenus Alva!
Okay.
Too late. You can't stay here.
We need to go. Alfred!
Ja, das ist jetzt schlecht, Leute. Und jetzt? Hallo, wir müssen Fiona retten. Lass sie bloß nicht fallen, Elfen. Bitte nicht. Hochziehen, ganz schnell hochziehen, hochziehen. Nicht lang warten. Umso länger warten, umso schlimmer wird. Jawohl.
Go. But know I will be your shadow no matter where you try to run.
Let's go.
Never forget, I am the one who devours everything. Who answers to neither spirit nor man. My word is law. I am.
Du bist gar nichts
Are
mehr,
you
du bist
two
jetzt
okay?
abgefackelt.
Yeah. We'll be fine.
Is Volron... Have we finally seen the last of him?
We can but hope.
Those red women. What the heck was their deal?
Could they be the ones behind all this? The same ones who put those soldiers in Faria in a trance?
What, those brainless things? Either way, they've done a runner with the Renis Alma. Damn it, that's the second time now!
Whatever's stolen from us, we'll steal it back. The future's ours to protect. And right now those things are what's standing in our way. We can head them off at Rena.
Did you say Rena?
Volron mentioned a master of theirs holed up in the motherland somewhere.
If that monstrous form's their true identity, I shudder to think who they take orders from.
Yeah. There's a good chance it's not human. That's for sure.
So this thing over on Rena, that's what's really behind all this, huh?
They have the Renasolma in their grasp already, so it's unlikely they'll have cause to return to Dana. I agree that Rena's our best shot.
Then we're agreed. Let's head back to the starship.
But seriously, I was not expecting Volron to actually be here.
He seemed to care not one whit about Renans or Danans.
Yeah, not in a good way like with us.
Also, von dem Bossfight hätte ich mir jetzt mehr
I
erwartet,
didn't see
auch
that
wenn er
coming
schwer
about
war.
Volron. As for those red women, to think they were monsters all along.
Tell me about it. One minute they look perfectly human. Next thing you know, they're not actually human at all.
They definitely weren't Renan or Danan. I'm not even sure language would get through to them.
So what were they then? Human Zoogle hybrids?
Is the most terrifying thing anyone said all day.
How about you, Shion? Dohalie? You ever seen anything like that before?
No, never. However, if they're the same as the red woman we've seen with Volron, I think it's safe for us to assume they understand our language at the very least.
I had just so much I wanted to ask them. About Rena and Shion's thorns.
Unfortunately, they blew themselves up before we got the chance. Why would they do such a thing, though? To take us with them? Or in order to keep something hidden?
Both sound plausible to my ears. They took off with the Renasolma too, remember?
Yeah, they did. And the next time we meet them, we're going to make sure they tell us everything they know.
Das wird jetzt aber nicht so ein Fly Simulator, oder? Wo wir jetzt überall in verschiedene Planeten rumreisen müssen, so wie ich es ja schon mal angeteasert habe. Dass ich denke, es passiert. Das wird meiner Meinung nach dem Spiel nicht 100% stehen. Weil es dann so wäre, als ob der Kampf um die Krone nur so ein Tutorial gewesen wäre, die ganze Zeit, wo wir auf der Erde waren. Ja, wer weiß, vielleicht täusche ich mich auch. Warte mal, kann ich mich nicht porten oder so? Das Ende der Straße. Okay, ne, wir müssen da hinlaufen, wir können nicht porten. Da müssen wir lang. Das heißt, vielleicht nochmal ein Bosskampf. Könnte vermutlich sein. Ey, die roten Frauen sind auf jeden Fall echt ekelhaft. Das muss man sagen. Die sind echt widerlich. Aber es war mir schon klar, dass das keine richtigen Menschen sind. Ich kratze mich gerade nicht wundern. Mich juckt. So, jetzt.
Take this!
Anything normal is mine! One astral energy!
You picked the wrong fight.
It's weakened!
This ends on your knees. Vacuum blade, air pressure.
Another incantation ruin.
Now!
Light burst forth!
Radiant!
Strahlender Ursprung.
Not a chance. I'm not done.
Armor won't save you!
This time. Start up.
Leave the ensnaring to me. Yeah, and humbling to me. Can you take it?
Also bis jetzt finde ich die Story richtig gut gelungen. Ich hoffe, man kriegt aber auch alle Fragen beantwortet. Es wäre echt schade, wenn irgendwie was offen bleibt.
With this, I can become even stronger.
Aber kann natürlich passieren, denn es gibt ja noch ein DLC, wo wahrscheinlich auch die Hauptstory nochmal aufgegriffen wird. Gehe ich zumindest mal schwer davon aus. Eigentlich wollte ich hier gar nicht hin, aber der Loot hat mich automatisch hergezogen. Und wir brauchen eh die Level, von dem her spielt es keine Rolle.
Stand back. I'll trip it up.
Be still.
I'll face you.
Look sharp.
Blitzende Tigerklinge.
You picked the wrong fight. Soaring light spear.
Eishammer.
It's over.
Perfekt.
Am I on a roll or what?
Well, look who's in a bright and shiny mood.
Regenerierungskristall, 2 Stück. Haben wir noch nicht gehabt, tatsächlich. Gut, aber ich denke mal, wir werden keine besseren Waffen bekommen. Als die, wo wir jetzt haben, vielleicht noch Shione. Und die anderen, aber Elfen wird wahrscheinlich kein besseres Schwert mehr bekommen, das bezweifle ich. Oh, schon wieder das Wanzenvieh.
Take this!
Mystische Art. Scharlach Inferno.
Shine, radiant light, force of regeneration.
Ne, genau, du Schlappe.
Green bathed in blood, rending you apart. Being interrupted.
Das Viech fokussiert sich aber nur auf uns, ne? Erlernt tobender Sturm. Ja, wann erlerne ich eine neue Attacke?
No further. The flame inside me yearns to be let free.
Armor won't save me. Deity.
Vacuum blade. Eternal devastation.
Death on the wind.
Eternal devastation.
Müssen wir dann gleich mal gucken, was das für eine Attacke war, wo wir gerade gelernt haben.
Vacuum blade.
Charge like that could easily be fatal.
Just as well, I'm here to stop.
Engulf you. Vacuum
They smite with blackened blade.
blade.
I couldn't make it in time. You're beyond.
Imbue this vanquished soul with my resuscitation.
I still got some fight left in me.
Ignite! Heal! I owe you one.
Now you see what I can do!
You're finished! No further! Vacuum blade!
Freeze Lancer! They need this one.
Vacuum blade! Lightning coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno! You're mine! No
Not in your
escape!
dreams.
It's over!
Jetzt sterbt du Kackvieh.
Consider yourself
Flammenschwung.
finished.
A hard-won victory.
Ein harter Sieg auf jeden Fall.
Go no further. Healing circle. Make the freeze Lancer.
Oh, ich wollte das von der Attacke mal ausprobieren.
A wailing banshee of lightning.
Eternal Death Shatter! Vacuum blade! I'm ready, Dazzle!
Kitara frozen.
Hammer!
Frozen Hammer, Eishammer.
My turn!
Astral energy.
There! Vacuum
I'm
blade!
ready. Astral energy.
Zauberweiser. Ich finde die neue Ausrüstung von Fiona richtig cool, vom Design her. Von Elfen auch, aber Fionas Rüstung gefällt mir besser. Hätte ich mir so ein angelehntes Design auch für Elfen gewünscht, so mit den blauen Streifen und so weiter. Oder den blauen leuchtenden Kristallen oder was das immer sein soll bei Fiona.
What the? When did it get pitch dark all of a sudden?
The lights are all out. Think it has something to do with the explosion back in the Forbidden Zone?
Doe?
You two.
Faria, Avakir. Thank goodness you're safe.
Avakir filled me in about everything. About how I ambushed you all.
She doesn't remember a thing. So she really was being controlled.
He told me about Tarnigan, too. Is it true?
What difference does it make? What's done is done.
Das stimmt.
Stop casting me off, just for once!
Faria, not now. It can wait. Dohalim, Lenegus is in grave peril.
So I can see.
It's the city's core reactor. It's damaged. Some of the basic systems we've managed to keep online, but complete restoration's still a way off.
You're an elite technician, though. You can fix it, right?
If so, then what's the problem?
Panic's begun to set in among the citizens. Until now, whenever something like this happened, the Sovereign would issue a decree. But this time, not so much as a peep. Any longer, and we run the risk of riots breaking out before we can get things back up and running.
Forget the Sovereign. I doubt you'll be hearing from him anytime soon.
What's that supposed to mean? Do you know something I don't?
Suffice it to say, the Sovereign isn't the kind of ruler we thought he was. That is, if he ever even existed, which is looking doubtful at this stage.
Are you out of your mind? Why, if people knew that a lord such as yourself was whispering such blasphemy, they'd...
There's no time to explain now. It sounds like we need to find a way to keep Lenegus from spiraling out of control.
We need to stop that riot.
But how do we do that?
Riots feed on discontent and unrest, right? So if we want to keep
Yep.
the peace, we just need to put people's minds at ease.
At ease? Like by letting them hear directly from someone they trust. That's it.
Herrscher.
Who's the highest ranking person in Lenegus right now?
Du Elfen.
Lenegus wouldn't have a next in line. After all, you said the Sovereign rules over everyone directly, right?
Correct. The closest thing to an authority figure would be a lord, and the only one left is... Ah, very well then. Avakir, you mentioned a few facilities were still online. Which ones?
Why hasn't the Sovereign said anything?
Please, won't somebody explain what's going on?
Is it over? What's going to happen to all of us?
Heed me now, fellow Renans of Lenegus. It is I, Lord Dohalim Ilkaris of Elda Menancia.
Look, up there! It's Lord Dohalim!
Hold on! He should be in the crown contest! Shouldn't he? Why isn't the Sovereign talking to us?
The Sovereign is seeing to other matters right now. In my capacity as Lord, I speak to you in his stead. You're afraid. As people so often are when faced with the unknown. I hope you'll allow me to put your fears to rest. The city's core reactor has experienced a malfunction. However, we have our top engineers attending to the matter, and things will soon be back to normal. I know that you feel abandoned, perhaps more scared and alone than ever before. But I ask you all to keep one thing in mind. You are Lenegus, not the Lords and Sovereign. The solidarity of its citizens is the mortar that holds it together. If we don't allow ourselves to be distracted by our differences, if we put our hearts and minds together and stand as one, I am confident we will find new hope. I would be honored to stand with you. Not as a person of loftier rank, but as another human being among many. I hope that you'll lend me your strength, for if we can persevere as one, I know a bright tomorrow awaits.
Das ging schnell.
Your speech seems to have done the trick. Looks like the city won't be descending into chaos after all.
I only pray the relief will tide the city over for the time being.
What you said earlier, about the Sovereign possibly not even existing, was it true?
Yep.
It's still too premature to say with any certainty, but I believe so. This whole time, this world we've been fed was a lie, built on nothing but falsehoods.
But it can't all have been...
I can believe it. After everything I saw in the Forbidden Zone, what they did to Faria, it's the only explanation that makes sense.
But what about hierarchy, Avakir? Authority? The very foundations of Renan society? How can we live without someone to guide us?
I'd say we found someone capable of doing just that, wouldn't you?
You? You can't be serious.
I have business I must take care of first. But once everything is over, I shall return. But not as your sovereign, nor as a leader the likes of which the people here are used to, I think.
But how else do you propose to rule?
I'm not sure yet. All I have is a feeling that here in Lenegus, a new dawn is on the verge of breaking. One in which people won't be judged by birthright or on the power of their astral arts, but on other things. More important things. Things like, oh, I don't know, musical talent, for example.
When I bumped into you after all those years, I said you were no different. But I was wrong. Truth is, you were always different. I feel like maybe now I can finally begin to accept Turnagain's death. To see a future.
You go finish whatever it is you've got to do. I'll hold down the fort here in Lenegus till you get back.
Thank you.
I guess you're not going to make it to Menancia for the foreseeable future, huh?
Indeed. Forgive me.
The people of Eldermenancia can look after themselves just fine. It's the ones here on Lenegus who need someone to guide them. Besides, with you leading the people here, it'll help spread the idea of coexistence beyond Menancia's borders that much faster.
Sounds like you're in it for the long haul.
How could I not be, after the second chance that I've been granted? From this day forth, I shall dedicate myself to the future inhabitants of this world. Though the memories of the departed shall remain forever in my heart.
Remember, you're going to be leading the people here, not ruling them.
True enough. Whatever would I do without you, Kisara?
With or without her, I suspect you're gonna have your hands full when the time comes. We should be heading back to the ship. Business on Rena awaits.
Werden wir jetzt noch dieses Renner erleben oder nicht? Weil irgendwie fühlt sich die ganze Zeit so an, als ob das Spiel jeden Moment zu Ende sein könnte. Aber irgendwie dann auch wieder nicht. Das ist irgendwie weird gerade. Wir sparen uns die Punkte.
Looks like the people of Lenegus can rest easy.
I couldn't have done it without your words of encouragement, Law.
I think everybody can share the credit here.
In one sense, when all is said and done, perhaps I have been a slave this whole time too.
Yep, so gesehen,
a
ja.
Renan Lord. How do you figure that exactly?
I was complicit in the Renan system, bound by its values. Resigned to being swept along, without the resolve to take a stand. And when I realized the severity of my mistake, all I longed for was punishment. A lord. And yet my first instinct was to place my fate in the hands of others.
I think I can relate. I couldn't stand watching my people bow and scrape their way through life, but I didn't know what else I could do about it either. The ability to think for yourself and be your own master. That's what separates a slave from a free person.
Ja, das
At
stimmt.
least, that's what Law's dad Zephyr used to say. Zephyr taught me how to fight. But in doing so, he also taught me how to live.
Even if it means stumbling along the way. If it's on a road of our own choosing, free of regret. Why, that's the road of freedom. Or, to put it another way, so long as his heart is compromised, even the loftiest of kings is no freer than a slave.
Yep.
I think I finally understand now. This Zephyr character sounds like he was a wise man indeed. I only wish I could have met him.
There's just so much I wish I could ask him, especially now. I wonder, have I been correctly carrying on the torch that he passed to me?
Ich denke, der wäre stolz auf Elfen und auf Flo. Safe. Wir machen mal ganz kurz eine Pause. Ich muss nämlich aufs Klo. Ich bin in einer Minute wieder da. Bis gleich. So, da bin ich wieder. Dann geht's noch einen Schluck. So.
How long have you known?
Known what?
About the darkness I carry inside me. You seem to have been aware of it for quite some time now.
Why ask me now? What does it matter? But yes, I have. I've pretty much known that something was gnawing at you ever since we left Menancia.
So basically since the very start of our journey then. Just when I thought I couldn't feel more ashamed.
Leave the past where it belongs. We have no need for it now. You're forging ahead. That's what matters. If my brother could see you, he'd be proud.
Not as proud as he would be of his sister, I'm sure.
Well then, just as well it's not a competition, huh?
Das stimmt.
Kisara? Anyone at home in there?
Sorry. Did I look distracted?
Among other things. To be entirely honest, I couldn't tell whether you were smiling or frowning.
You were thinking about Dohalim, weren't you?
That obvious, huh? I was just thinking how good it is to see him moving forward at last. It was always so infuriating, knowing how capable he could be if he just put his mind to it. A prisoner trapped in a cage of his own self-doubt. But now, he's finally beginning to spread his wings. I'm happy for him.
So, then why do you look so sad?
Oh, I don't know if I'd say sad. There's a bittersweetness to it, I guess. It's good and strange, knowing that he won't be needing me anymore. It probably sounds weird, doesn't it? I have this massive worry off my mind. I should be jumping up and down for joy, right?
Must be that maternal instinct of yours at work.
Brimwell's right. You're like a mother bird, finally letting go as her child takes his first shaking and nervous flight from the nest.
A pretty big child.
That's one way to look at it. I wouldn't like to see Dohalim's face if he heard you say that. All this has made me realize I can't allow myself to become a prisoner of my own making like he was. If Dohalim can forge his own path ahead, then I can too. I won't be left behind.
Richtig so. So. Wo müssen wir denn jetzt hin? Ich habe keine Ahnung. Wir müssen wahrscheinlich komplett zurück, kann das? Aber können wir uns da nicht hinporten? Nee. Dreck. Wir können uns nicht porten, Mann. Da müssen wir laufen, auf die Oldschool-Art. Rennen wir im besten Fall durch. Guck mal, der Weg Heilungsart. Arzt. Da oben hat einer das Shigi gemacht. Ich Ich bin jetzt mal gespannt, ob wir jetzt wieder auf die Anführungsstrich nach Lenniges kommen oder wo wir jetzt hin müssen, denn ich weiß nicht, wo das an dieses... Ach Mann, jetzt habe ich den Namen vergessen. Mir fällt der Name nicht mehr ein, ist auch egal. Wir werden ja gleich sehen, wohin wir müssen.
I thought we'd find answers on Lennigus, but we just ended up finding more questions.
You can say that again. And now we have more problems to fix too. Like figuring out how to reform Lennigus.
That can wait for now. We've got more than enough on our plates to deal with as it is. Like figuring out who's really running the show on Rena.
Yeah.
Rena, yeah.
Which is why we're going to the Renan homeworld.
All the answers we've been looking for are on that planet. The person responsible for all this. The Red Woman and the Renaissance. The answers have to be there. Are we prepared to finally find them?
So, what do we do first when we get there?
We know nothing about the Renan homeworld or what we might face once we arrive. We should get a feel for how things are on the ground before we take any serious steps.
It's also entirely possible that the first thing we're going to face is an attack.
If we come across a capital, we should... What?
Alter, erschreckt mich doch nicht so, Mädel. Was suchten die jetzt hier? Okay, das sind viel zu viele. Ach du Scheiße. Irgendwohin haben die uns geportet. Die Frage ist nur, wohin?
Damn! The hell just happened?
Our course has been altered. The coordinates are pointing to a different destination.
What's that?
The ship's controls aren't accepting my commands. The engine is being shut down.
That's bad, right?
Quite bad. We've lost control of the ship.
Ja.
Is all of this the Red Women's doing?
Ja.
Are they trying to finish us off before we can land?
Everyone! Look there!
Das ist Rena. Das war Rena. Der ist ja komplett ausgehöhlt, Alter. Oh oh. Ich glaube, das gleiche wollen wir jetzt machen mit Mir fällt der Name gerade rein. Alter, wie schön das ist. Das ist verdammt gut gestaltet, Alter. Props. Alter, sieht das gut aus. Heftig, heftig gestaltet.
A flower blooming out of Retta?
But that flower looks like it's absorbing all of Dana's energy.
And it appears Lenegis is serving as a conduit for that energy to reach here. Could that have been its true purpose all along?
If that's true, do you think the people back on Lenegis are all right?
We can only pray that they are.
Damn it! Haven't they taken enough already? When is this going to end?
The Flower of Oblivion.
With everything that's happening, we need to get back to Lenegis. Is the ship still offline?
Unfortunately, yes. Even more so than when it lay dormant.
Can you fix it?
Starships are extremely complex machines. One wrong move while we're out here in space could very well cost us our lives.
Bestimmt.
So what? We're just stuck inside here, floating around? For how long?
I don't believe this. We've made it all this way, and now we're stuck here? We're watching Dana die before our eyes, and we have no choice but to sit here and starve to death?
Law, calm down! You're not the only one who's worried here.
Right. Sorry.
It's still too early to give up. There has to be a way to get out of this.
Alphen.
Now what?
The starship, it's back online?
No, this is different. Something is pulling our ship in towards it.
Die Frage ist, wer? Wer zieht sich zu uns? Wer zieht uns zu sich? So rum.
We managed to get moving, but where are we?
It looks like Lenegis in here.
Ich wollte gerade sagen.
Do you think we might run into more Renans here? Or those red women?
Perhaps. Someone brought us here. The question is, who?
We haven't been ambushed, so that probably means they aren't hostile. Still, why would anyone want to bring us here?
Hey, Shion!
If they wanted to attack us, they could have done so while we were back on the starship. We should see where this path takes us.
Ja, zu Recht. Dort sind leider recht die gute Shione.
Ah, Shion, just in the nick of time. Here, lend me a hand while I...
No!
What the... Oh, right. The thorns. My bad.
No, I'm the one who should apologize. I overreacted.
Again, Law? Can't you even go a minute without putting your foot in your mouth?
Seriously, it's fine. I'd rather that than people feeling like they're walking on eggshells around me. Besides, I'm the one who should be vigilant about not touching you guys, not the other way around.
Actually, I've been meaning to ask. Not being able to touch people, does it ever get lonely sometimes?
Das hat sie doch
I
schon
guess I
gesagt.
never really thought about it in those terms. It was either accept it for what it was or come undone. Before long, it was just part of my everyday reality. I think I even forgot there was another way to live. Which isn't to say I didn't feel alone. I did. Always.
So numb to your reality, you couldn't even recognize it as loneliness? I don't know how you managed.
It's fine. I know I'm not alone anymore.
But I can't even touch you. No way of lending you a shoulder when you're down? Even Alphen.
I appreciate the concern. Until I get rid of these thorns, I guess I'll have to put up with it just a little longer. But not forever. Alphen promised me that. Maybe it'll be soon, maybe it won't be. But either way, the day will come. And I'll be ready when it does.
Yeah, just hang in there. One day, we'll share a big warm hug. You'll see. I promise.
Boah, das wäre so bitter, wenn alle sterben außer Elfen in dem Spiel.
Boo! Ah! What the? Are you out of your mind? This isn't the time for games, Rinwell!
Oh, come on. How am I supposed to resist with you looking all jittery like that?
It's called experiencing feelings appropriate to the situation. You ought to try it sometime.
Yeah, but seeing you act all nervous, you're making me start to feel nervous too.
Oh, sorry.
Staying alert is important, but too much caution can cloud your judgment. Try to strike a balance.
Das kann ich im Übrigen auch bestätigen, ist genauso bei uns. Wenn ich irgendwie komisch drauf bin, ist meine Frau auch.
I still can't get over what we saw happening outside the starship.
Yeah, our planet's really not doing too hot right about now.
I've only ever seen Rena from the surface of Dana, so I figured it was just another round planet like ours. Still though, I never would have imagined Rena actually looked like that. And what's the deal with that giant flower coming out of it?
Das frage ich mich auch.
I have absolutely no clue. It's so surreal. It looks like a broken egg or something.
Rena and Dana. We were taught that both worlds were spherical bodies that floated amongst the stars in the heavens. But to think that they lied to us not only about the Sovereign and the Crown contest, but also the form of our own planet.
Dohalim.
Okay, who's the wise guy that summoned us here?
Someone...
That beam of light joining Dana and Rena. It was the Renin side that it first came from, right?
That's what it looked like. And then the Danon side responded.
Perhaps it was some kind of directive from the Renin homeworld? To reawaken the Wedge and Lenegis?
Which would mean that whoever's behind all this is on Rena after all. But what are they after? Is it really worth going through all this trouble just to steal Dana's energy?
Try to stay calm. With so many factors we don't understand, dwelling on it won't get us anywhere. What is it?
No, it's just... Zephyr once told me the same thing. So much for me making progress, huh?
You made it this far, didn't you? You notice something, you change it. That's all anyone can do. But you can't stand still in the meantime.
Aber da hat Shione leider recht. So, was können wir hier machen? Gibt's hier irgendwas zu looten? Nope. Untere Ebene, mittlere, obere. Dann gehen wir erstmal in die untere. Die Etage ist nicht zugänglich. Mittlere. Okay, da können wir rein. Hier sind Türen, die versperrt sind. Und da geht die Story weiter. Dann will ich jetzt erstmal wissen, ob wir in die obere Ebene können. Nee. Alright. Dann gehen wir da lang.
This place looks a lot like that room we saw back in the Forbidden Zone.
Ja. Mich auch.
What's that? It's one of those!
A red woman in disguise. Or is this their true form?
So it was a trap?
It doesn't look like it can move. Tell me, are you the one who brought us here?
That is correct. It is unusual for me to have unexpected guests these days.
It can talk.
Wer zur Hölle ist es?
What are you?
Hevrecht 35.
Was zur Hölle?
Hevrecht 35. Is that your name?
Correct.
What is this place? No, wait, before that, just what exactly are you? Are you somehow associated with the Red Women?
Before I answer, I have a question for you. How did you all arrive in this sector?
We did not come to this place by choice. Our ship was brought here against our will, by a group of red women who can shift into the same form as you.
In that case, we can assume my brethren who serve the Great Spirit have deemed you all to be a threat most grave.
What do you mean, serve? Are you saying there really is someone more powerful than the Red Women, pulling their strings?
Anscheinend ja.
What did you do to us?
I examined your bodies. You have not been harmed in any way.
Ja, der war ganz körperlich
Identifiers
gemacht.
detected. The Sovereign and Maiden are among you. However, you aren't under its control. I see why they viewed you as a danger now.
Ihr werdet nicht kontrolliert.
Oh goody, more riddles.
Ich wollte
Do
gerade
you
sagen.
think we can trust this thing?
Like it or not, it may be our best chance at a ticket out of here. Let's at least hear it out.
I shall now answer your questions. We are Helganquil. The red women you encountered previously are a form of disguise we employ from time to time, but not our true form.
Helganquil?
Alter, jetzt...
You are on Dake Phasol, a celestial base which drifted here by accident. The will of Rena's great spirit no longer reaches us here. Since my sudden separation from the Great Spirit's influence, I have used any and all means to extend my lifespan. As I have done so, I have also set out to monitor and research Rena and Dana from this position.
A question. What is this Great Spirit of which you speak? Is it something that rules over your kind?
Correct. The Great Astral Spirit is a large mass of astral energy that fills all of Rena, one with its own will, a voice we cannot refuse.
Das, was Rinwell gehört hat.
Just like Dana.
The voice of the Great Spirit speaks to our hearts directly, and we have served it without question throughout the ages.
Does that mean it was controlling your minds? Wait a second. Could this Great Spirit be the true Sovereign of Rena?
The true ruler of Rena. It could be the same thing that's controlling Volron.
Wait, back up. You're telling us this great spirit of yours is the one that ordered you things to harvest the astral energy from Dana? I'm not sure I believe that.
Why not? We've already made contact with the will of Dana back in the Wedge, and in the Forbidden Zone on Lenegus. If Dana has a will of its own, I don't see why Rena wouldn't.
Maybe not, but think about what you're saying. If Dana has a will like Rena, then that would mean that we've been controlled by the voice of Dana this whole time, just like these things.
Dana's will hasn't been forcing us to do anything.
Yeah, but...
Let's assume that what Hevrecht 35 claims is true, and that we are indeed cut off from both planets. Even if we had previously been under the control of Dana's will, we would have noticed now that we are disconnected.
Your fear is not based in logic.
Das ist es
The
nämlich.
voice of Dana is much smaller.
Warte mal, bevor das weiterbaut. Das ist nämlich das, was ich mir auch gerade überlegt habe. Wenn nämlich alle kontrolliert werden, die auf Dana oder Lenne oder dem anderen Planeten, der ist in Rena, da muss man das ja merken, wenn man zum Beispiel bei dem ist, dass man nicht mehr kontrolliert wird. Das ist ja nicht passiert. Es hat sich ja nichts geändert an unserem Willen, alle zu retten, etc.
And quieter compared to that of Rena's great spirit.
Ah, okay.
Rena's astral energy is amassed at its center, whereas Dana's is shared among all its constituents. So thinly is that energy spread that it cannot coalesce and formulate a will. Our findings here indicate as much.
Which explains why we felt its will where we did. The wedge and Lenegis are where so much of that energy had been accumulated.
The Great Spirit's desire is to consume all astral energy, and the pursuit of that desire is why you see Rena in its current state. As a result, it has turned its attention toward Dana.
Is that why the crown contest is necessary? So that the Great Spirit can feed off of Dana?
Indeed. And it was to that end that we Helganquil devised the crown contest.
Ach du Scheiße.
Had the initial spirit channeling from 300 years ago succeeded, all of Dana's astral energy would have been seized.
Ja, weil alle vernichtet hat.
But the ceremony failed. Lenegis was severely damaged, and you lost both the Sovereign and the Renasalma.
Correct. A change in plan was required to ensure the spirit channeling's success. However, recreating the Renis Alma required a vast amount of energy. That is why we turned to Dana.
So that was the real purpose behind the crown contest. An efficient means to harvest the necessary energy from Dana.
Ja, die haben die Drecksarbeit gemacht.
This is all happening because of me.
Nevertheless, you still haven't answered one of Alphen's original questions. Just why have you brought us here to your base, Hevrecht 35?
First, it was to confirm the identities of you, my unexpected visitors. Second, it was to ascertain whether you would be likely to accept my request.
A request? But what could someone like you want us to...
I wish for you all to slay the Great Spirit.
Oh, der will das für den großen
I'm
Geist
sorry,
umbringen.
did you just ask us to kill your master?
I did. It is in your best interest that you do so, I might add.
What makes you say that?
Lenegis has entered the final stage of the spirit channeling plan. As we speak, Dana's energy is being harvested en masse and transmitted to Rena. If nothing is done about the Great Spirit, it will not be long before all is lost.
You're saying the destruction we saw earlier is just the beginning? That...
We won't let that happen.
Why do you want us to kill the Great Spirit so badly? Is it to save our world? To free you, Helganquil, from under its control? Why?
No. My primary concern is validating our findings and analysis, which have taken many years to realize. As such, it is my desire to see how your actions impact and change these systems. However, I will not deny that vengeance also plays a part.
Vengeance? For what?
In spite of our long service to the Great Spirit, our species is on the brink of extinction.
You mean... you're dying?
At this stage, it would be wise for you to talk with the others.
Well,
Ask
yeah,
them
I'm
what you need to know. Once you have your answer, return to me. If you agree to help, I shall fix your ship.
Others? Just how many of you are there?
I am the only Helganquil who inhabits Dake Faisal.
Hey! Hey!
It's no use. I think it's done talking to us. Let's take a look around.
Das ist alles schon übel Krass. Es scheint den Zustand von Havrak 35 zu kontrollieren. Viele Vitalparameter werden angezeigt. Die Frage ist jetzt, oder was ich mir stelle, können wir dem wirklich vertrauen oder eher nicht? Denn es kann ja auch sein, dass er uns nur in das Licht führt und dass wir dann den Geist zerstören, obwohl er eigentlich der Drahtzieher von allem ist. Denn es ist ja schon komisch, dass die roten Frauen da uns zu ihm gebracht haben. Was ist, wenn das ein Täuschungsmanöver ist? Wisst ihr, was ich meine?
You can't seriously be buying anything that creature told us, right? I mean, it's practically blackmailing us into doing its dirty work.
To be honest, the conversation went on for so long, I'm not sure I understood all of it. How about you, Dohalim? Were you able to follow it at all?
At the very least, everything it said about the Renin Great Spirit adds up. At the end of the day, this whole chain of events comes back to astral energy. That being said, had we not previously encountered the will of Dana, I suspect I would find its story much more difficult to believe.
Ja, das stimmt.
The spirit of Rena wants to see Dana completely destroyed.
But why? Astral energy is supposed to be a force that creates and shapes the world.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if we're up against an entire world or what its game is. We're not going to let it destroy Dana.
Right.
There is one other thing that concerns me. How the Great Spirit, the Helganquil, and the Crown Contest are all part of a centuries-long plan is clear enough. But what about the Renins? How do they factor into all this?
Now that you mention it, and all that talk, Havrak 35 never even brought up the Renins once. And as for the Helganquil, we never did find out just what they are either.
Maybe it had a reason for keeping its silence. Or perhaps there's even more going on. Maybe the others will shed more light on the matter. Let's find out.
Aber wer sind denn die anderen? Also untere Ebene konnten wir nicht, da können wir jetzt rein. Gehen wir erstmal in die untere, danach in die obere. Erstmal anders da hinsetzen. Wir gucken nach kurzem Blut. Hier hinten geht's rein. Hier stehen überall diese Pflanzen, diese komischen. Misst Astralenergie Fluktuationen in Dana und Rena. Mehr gibt's hier nicht. Schwach. Gehen wir da lang.
Who are they?
Das sind ja Menschen.
What is it?
Oh, my apologies. It's just been so long since I've seen any humans from the outside world.
Are you a Renin?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. The Overseer told us to answer any questions you might have. Whatever you want to know, we'll tell you as much as we can. But be quick. Our subjects are undergoing a dramatic shift that we don't want to miss.
What a weird guy.
Yeah.
He must have meant Havrak 35 when he mentioned that Overseer.
And what was that about subjects? You don't think he meant Dana and Rena, do you?
Schön.
There isn't anyone else we can talk to. I guess we should ask around here.
Have you guys lived up here in Dag Faisal with Havrak 35 for a long time?
Yes. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head just how long it's been, though. We regularly go into stasis, So our sense of time has gotten rather out of whack over the years.
Why are you all even here in the first place?
Originally, this station was where we worked to perform maintenance on Lenegis from the outside.
We heard that the facility ended up in its current location due to an accident.
Oh, it was terrible. Apparently there was some kind of accident, and when help never arrived, they presumed the entire facility had been destroyed.
And you've been working for Hevrecht 35 ever since?
Well, at first we thought that there was nobody else inside the facility, but then it turned out the Overseer was there all along.
What do you mean?
The Helganquil have the technology to cloak themselves around us Renans.
As long as they don't do anything obvious, a Renan won't see one, even if it's right in front of them.
Which would explain why Shion and I failed to notice the Red Women previously. Do they employ an astral art of some sort?
I haven't been able to scientifically confirm it for myself, but from what I understand, the type of cloaking they use is primarily achieved through mechanical means.
In addition, they also used hypnosis devices and information control to get us to do what they wanted without being detected. It's a pretty sophisticated operation, especially since it avoids any unnecessary conflict. I have to imagine that's how Lenegis is still run.
But aren't the Helganquil themselves controlled by the Great Spirit? If so, why aren't Renans affected by it in the same way?
The Great Spirit's mind control only works on Helganquil, so they had to employ other means to manipulate us Renans.
You act like this didn't affect you personally. If I was you, I'd be mad as hell at their deceptions.
I mean, sure, I was surprised when I first found out about it, but it happened so long ago.
Hevrecht 35 has clearly ceased concealing itself, though. Why is that?
Who can say? My guess is it just got bored, or maybe even a little lonely.
Don't you want to go back home to Rena or Lenegis? Our ship is going to be fixed pretty soon. You could ride with us.
No way. If we went back after knowing the truth, they'd either just brainwash us or purge us outright.
After all this time, there's nothing to be gained from going back. We've all agreed it'd be best to simply stay here and watch everything unfold instead.
Things are going just fine with the Overseer. Not that it'll be around much longer. It can't extend its life any further.
That said, I'm sure it's pleased to see the final stage of the plan before it passes on, though.
Thank you for answering our questions.
Ja, aber so viel Neues haben wir so nicht erfahren, wirklich.
Can we talk to you for a few minutes?
Sure. It's going to be a while before the two planets undergo their next shift, so I can talk until then.
Please, tell us what you know about the Helganquil.
You mean the Overseer species? I can't say I know much about them.
Well, for starters, where'd they come from?
Where else? From Rena, obviously.
From Rena? Wait, are you telling us those things live right alongside the Renans down there?
Of course not. There's really no such thing as Renans in the first place.
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought the Overseer explained everything.
Apparently not.
Please, tell us more.
In a nutshell, the Renans were originally created from Danans by the
Aus den
Helganquil.
Dänern geschaffen. Was zum... Ach
But
du
if that's
Scheiße.
true, then that would mean there aren't any people on Rena.
Yep.
There aren't. But there are Helganquil. That's what the name literally means in their language. People of Rena.
But what need could they possibly have to create a whole new race of people?
It was a way to bolster their dwindling workforce. I trust you're aware that the Helganquil are on the verge of extinction, yes? In essence, we were created to carry on their work for the Great Spirit after they all die. They gathered Danans who had an affinity for astral arts and proceeded from there. That's why we, as their descendants, can all cast arts, albeit to varying degrees.
Let me get this straight. Are you saying Renans were originally created from Danans that the Helganquil kidnapped?
Wait, That explains why almost nobody can use Astro Arts on Dana now.
Ja.
Helganquil technology is truly amazing. The way they alter their bodies is far less invasive than your conventional surgeries. They have these tiny machines that are practically invisible, which they insert into their bodies and...
Enough! You needn't tell us anymore.
How can you speak so calmly about all of this?
I guess I can see how, when viewed in a certain light, their ways may sound grotesque. But if you ask me, I think they ultimately did us a favor. They saved us from crawling the earth in ignorance. If it meant their hands had to get a little dirty in the process, then so be it. Anyway, the Helganquil are the real Renans. Personally, I don't think it's such a big deal. They're also mostly the ones behind what you see going on between the two planets. I think that covers just about everything worth knowing.
I see. Thanks for filling us in.
Also der hat uns jetzt deutlich bessere Infos gegeben als die Frau vorher.
Does he really expect us to believe that Renans never truly existed? How absurd.
Dohalim.
Just when I think we're getting to the bottom of it all, some new revelation smacks us in the face.
Then let's hope this is our last revelation for a while.
Alter, aber wenn das wirklich stimmt, ne, dass die wann ist der Renea? Dass die Renea gar nicht existieren und von Leuten von Dana bestehen. Oder andersrum. Ich verwechsel die immer. Ist ja egal. Da muss man schon sagen, ist es echt ein kranker Plot-Twist. Er scheint dauerhaft überwacht zu werden, um sicherzustellen, dass sich Daix Fasul nicht nähert. Keine Ahnung, wie man das ausspricht. Dann wäre das ein krasser Plot-Twist. Und die ganzen Twists, wo es gab, vom Spielbeginn bis zu dem Punkt jetzt, waren eigentlich totaler Brainwash. Aber komplett durch die Bank weg. Wenn das stimmt, was der Typ da gesagt hat. Dann haben die sich eigentlich alle die ganze Zeit gegenseitig bekämpft und getötet. Alter Scheiße. Das wäre heftig. Das
Do you
ist
know
heftig.
anything about a spirit channeling plan?
If you mean the first plan from 300 years ago, then yes. Do you know what its main objective was?
Yes. It was to use Lenegis to siphon off Dana's astral energy and send it to Rena.
Exactly. However, there were two problems we had to consider. First was how to collect and send such a large quantity of astral energy without it becoming sentient. Second, we had to figure out how to convert Dana's energy so it would be compatible with Rena.
I take it the solutions to those problems were to use the wedge for the collection, and then the Sovereign and Maiden to convert the energy.
We have a winner. However, the first plan failed when the Sovereign was overwhelmed and became frenzied. The reason for that is because the Maiden lost control. I'm told he slaughtered many Renans in Helganquil that day.
Ja.
For the next plan,
wissen
we
wir.
tried to recreate the Renasalma, but we didn't have nearly enough of the other non-dark astral energy types. To amend that, we set our sights on Dana, and implemented a system whereby we could extract energy from it.
And the crown contest began.
Correct. Since the Maiden had been the failing point in the previous plan, it was decided to replace her role with machinery to avoid further mishaps.
Die Maschine, wo
A new
Wolverine gefangen
sovereign
war.
had to be made as well. It
Wolverine.
was such tremendously difficult work, its success was dubious. But from the look of things, it would appear such worries were unfounded.
So that's what the purpose of that room we found in the Forbidden Zone was.
Ja.
What about the flower that sprouted from Rena?
Flower? Oh, that thing. That's the physical manifestation of all the astral energy that's been harvested from Dana. As I'm sure you've noticed, it's quite a lot of energy. At this point, it's likely that it's become physically integrated with Rena's planetary structure.
Hevric 35 mentioned that the spirit channeling plan is entering its final stage. Is that true?
It is. I never thought I would live to see the day with my own eyes. And yet here we are. Are we done talking now? If it's all the same to you, I'd really rather not miss anything that's about to happen.
He talks like the potential end of the world is just another day on the job.
You've got to remember that these guys have been living alone up here for a long time. Who knows what shape their minds are in?
It feels like our whole world has been turned upside down. Is there anything we know that's still true at this point?
Seriously, I'm still trying to process the fact that we Renans were created by the Helganquil, let alone the Sovereign and Maiden stuff.
Let's take a moment to gather ourselves. I know all of this is a lot to believe and take in, but I think it's fair to say that we've found the answers we've been looking for. Does everyone agree?
Agreed. Though I'll admit that I never expected it to all boil down to Rena's great spirit being behind everything.
Everything that's happened, everything we've endured, it's all because of astral energy.
And to get that energy, the Great Spirit took control of the Helganquil. Then the Helganquil created the Renans, who went on to invade and rule over the Danans.
Plus, the reason the Great Spirit can't directly control the Renans as well is likely because they were originally Danans all along.
Yeah.
Either way, I think it's fair to say we've all had a lot to take in at once. Maybe too much, even. We should probably take it easy and rest our minds a bit. Why don't we all take some time to think things over, before we decide on our next move?
That's a good idea, Kisara. If the Renan Great Spirit really is behind all this, then we've got a really big fight ahead of us. Because it's not just Dana on the line, but Rena too. If we're going to do this, we need to be completely sure of ourselves. So let's go ahead and break off for now. We aren't in any immediate danger, so we should be okay. You sure you don't want to be alone right now?
I could ask you the same question.
I figured I'd get all my thinking in while walking around and checking up on everybody.
I'll go along with you. I'm interested to hear what's on everyone's minds too.
Sounds good. Let's go find them.
Everyone's just gone their own way, huh?
Yeah, let's hit up each spot.
Es wird gleich ein bisschen laut. Ich werde jetzt einfach mein Headset stummen, werde weiterspielen und sobald es wieder leise ist, schalte ich mich wieder ein, ja?
Everything we thought we knew, it was all just a fabrication that the Red Women, no, that the Helganquil made up.
Right. Assuming we can believe anything that Hevric 35 has told us, that is.
Well, if the names are anything to go by, it's possible the Helganquil could be behind the fruits of Helgen too.
But if Hevric 35 was telling the truth, and this was all just one massive lie, does that mean everything we've done up until now has been pointless?
No, I don't think so. Or at least I hope not. I think it just means we've lost our foothold for now. That's all.
Really? Well then, if we've lost it, I guess we'll just have to find another. All of us together. And if we can't find one, then we'll make a new one. End of story.
Make one, huh? I see. Right then. Count me in.
This looks so good. I almost want to have it all to myself.
Oh, it's you two. Does he seem like he's doing any better now?
He who? Oh, you mean Dohalim, don't you?
I know that we're all struggling to wrap our minds around it all, but he looked like he was taking it really hard earlier.
What do you think about everything we've learned? About the Renans, and the Great Spirit, and all that?
On some level, I'm not even really sure what to think, to be honest. I mean, the Great Spirit is like a huge natural disaster, but with a mind and will of its own. But if that thing's hellbent on trying to destroy our planet, then the only thing left for us to do is stop it. As for the Renans, I suppose my feelings on that are a bit more mixed.
How so?
Coexistence between Danans and Renans in Menancia is still a work in progress. In my case, I think that's partly because deep down, I was still on guard around Renans. So, to be told that they're like us, that they're actually just like us is, well, I guess it's a little deflating, to be honest.
You kept a pretty level head.
You mean about the Renans? At the end of the day, the Helganquil and the Great Spirit are the ones who are responsible. But at the same time, I realize that not every Danan is necessarily going to believe that either.
I know you're already aware of this, but the list of grievances the Danans have against the Renans is long, and understandably so. And if people then find out that they're all actually one and the same, yeah, I don't think they're going to take to it too kindly.
Even just among the Danans, I'm sure there'll be some who emerge with power and some who won't. I think if we can find a way to get rid of that imbalance, then we'll be in a truly good place.
Well, first we can try to figure out what to do about the existing conflicts we have.
Yeah. It'd be nice if one day people could learn to get past their hatred like Rinwell did.
It's no small task. We can't pretend like the past didn't happen and ask people to forget their very real pain and suffering.
Right. Everybody has their reasons for feeling the way that they do. But if we just keep yelling at each other about it, we'll never move on. In a worst-case scenario, it might lead to even more people getting killed.
And we all have to figure out how to meet halfway. Not just that, but to also embrace each other's pain, in a sense.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
It's true. Everybody has their own scars, their own trauma. The first step to healing those wounds is to put aside that hatred. It won't be achieved through reasoning, but I think it's a good first step, if nothing else. And now, I think I see a way to move forward. But to do that, first we need to make sure our planet isn't going to get wiped out.
You both seem awfully calm.
Only because after everything we've seen, we don't have the energy to keep being shocked.
How are you holding up, Rinwell? That whole talk about the Renans looked like it shook you up a bit.
Yeah. I get this sinking feeling whenever I remember how Danan mages like my family were persecuted and died out. And now, I finally know why that is. But I was thinking, if Renans end up living together with Danans again, then mages won't be such an unusual thing to see on Dana anymore, right? I know it's not as simple as all that, but Danans probably won't be so quick to let their guards down, and there might be Renans who still act superior because of their arts.
It wouldn't surprise me. 300 years of bad blood and prejudice isn't going to be an easy thing to overcome.
Yeah. I know firsthand just how much hatred can take hold in your heart once you let it in. But even so, I was still able to change. And if I can change, so can anyone else. So I was thinking maybe, I don't know, I could use my position as both a Danan and a mage to help bring both sides together.
Rinwell.
That Great Spirit worries me too, though. Dana's will feels so warm and inviting. So why is Rena's will trying to destroy our entire planet?
Now that you mention it, Everett 35 and the other scientists here never really brought that up. Maybe they don't know either.
Maybe. But regardless, at the end of the day, Dana's still our home. There's no way we can let it be destroyed.
We won't. We'll keep it safe no matter what.
Okay, jetzt soll's wieder ruhig sein. Ja, das sind alles so Geschichten, ne? Ne, wir dürfen wirklich nicht zulassen, dass unser Planet zerstört wird. Zumindest.
I still can't believe it, man.
You're not the only one still trying to make sense of all this. Believe me.
Really? You've never struck me as the type of guy to get hung up on these sorts of things.
Did you forget what happened back in Thistleum? Once my memories started coming back to me, I felt completely and totally lost.
It was really that bad for you?
Yeah, it was. But thanks to Law and everybody else, I remembered that I still had things out there worth fighting for.
Man, I think you might be a better guy than me, Alphen. All I can remember thinking was, when's this guy gonna get his act together?
Law.
I was too worried about repeating the same mistakes I'd made back with my dad, and running away from the truth. That was no way to live. And I've tried to stay strong, my way. But all this talk about other races and the world ending, if I can be honest with you guys, it's just all too much for me to handle right now.
I know this is going to sound strange coming from me, but maybe the key is not to worry too much about the big stuff right now.
Oh?
I used to worry all the time about my thorns, for obvious reasons, but I never really opened up to anyone about them. And when I realized my visions pointed to a threat that was bigger than me, I didn't know what I should do, or who to tell.
Ja, und wolltest mich abknallen.
But that's when I finally got it. You guys were all there for me, to teach me what's really important. I just had to open up and listen.
In other words, if you let the big picture stuff get you all muddled up inside, you'll begin to lose sight of what you really care about. Yeah, I think you're right.
The thing that's most important. What I really care about. All I want to do is protect the people that really matter to me. To fight for them. That's good enough, right?
Not everyone is strong enough to fight.
Huh?
It's something your dad told me once when he was still alive. Law, you know you're strong enough to fight, and you're strong enough to protect the people you care about. Forget all the big stuff going on. Just don't lose sight of what you want to protect in the first place. Sound good?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. It's like a big weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I'll fight to protect the people around me. Just like I always have. I think that's best.
Das glaube ich auch, dass das am besten ist für Law. Dass er sich an den Gedanken fokussiert. Ich frage mich, ob Dana noch immer einen eigenen Nachnamen erhalten, noch immer keine eigenen Nachnamen erhalten. So roh diese Taktik auch ist, sie ist effektiv zur Unterwerfung. Wobei wir nicht so verschieden sind. Sie mögen klangvoll wirken, aber Nachnamen sind bloß Mittel, die formale Herkunft eines Einzelnen auszumachen. Das stimmt. This is true. Der Aufseher bleibt aller Wahrscheinlichkeit nach bis auf weiteres bei uns, da seine Vitalwerte weiterhin stabil sind. Trotz seines Aussehens ist seine Biologie unserer überraschend ähnlich. Ist das nicht unheimlich faszinierend? Nee, es ist nur unheimlich.
I apologize for making you witness that.
You mean hearing the origins of the Renans?
Indeed. It's shocking to have so many things I thought to be indelible fade away in mere seconds.
No.
Even I'm still not sure everything we've heard here is actually true.
Let's not delude ourselves. If what we've heard is a lie, it's a rather elaborate one. I can only imagine that you must have been constantly feeling like this, ever since your memory returned, Alphen. And you as well, Shion. About your thorns, and being a maiden.
That's just part of being alive, don't you think?
To say the least. But enough about me. I'm not concerned for myself. What concerns me is all of the other Renans out there.
When you say the other Renans, you mean the ones that are living on Lenegis or Dana, right?
Correct. Even if we stop the Great Spirit from annihilating Dana, our problems will still remain. Putting aside the untold state that Rena may be in, if we do not truly belong there, we will have to think long and hard about where it is that we wish to return to.
Im Gegenteil, dann geht's erst richtig los.
I guess your only real choices at this point are to either stay on Lenegis or come down to Dana, huh? And right now, Lenegis might not even be a safe option.
And at the same time, Danans are hardly likely to embrace Renans with open arms. If the issue is forced, things could turn dire.
Yeah.
There is, after all, 3 centuries worth of hatred to overcome between us. And the victims of our rule have absolutely every right to feel animosity towards us Renans. Our own circumstances as the aggressors are irrelevant.
I didn't expect the former Lord of Menancia to be so down about people reconciling.
Menancia's fate was a stroke of good luck. There had been backlash over how it had been ruled, and I was blessed to have sympathizers among my ranks. Still, even now, there remain ardent dissidents.
But things can still change if you have the right people to help lead the way. Isn't that what you hope to achieve on Lenegis, after this is all over?
Indeed. I have fully accepted the burden of that responsibility. In that regard, I remain determined. On that note, I have something of a favor to ask of you, Alphen.
Oh? What is it?
I wish for you to serve as a mediator so that the Renans can live on Dana peaceably. As the one and only Blazing Sword, I suspect the Danans may listen to what you have to say when problems arise.
And I take it that you'll be the one to represent the Renans?
Yes. I realize that I'm asking quite a lot of you. However, the fact of the matter is that it will take time for Renans to re-enter Danan society without any bloodshed. That is why...
You're the same as ever, Dohalim.
Is it too much?
No, relax. You get so tense and formal when you're asking for a favor. Listen, there's no need for that. We're friends.
You're too kind. I can see you were raised well.
That's some high praise, Alphen.
Then I'll ask once again, this time just as friends. Alphen, will you help me?
Natürlich helfen wir dir.
You don't even need to ask. Of course I will.
So sieht's aus.
My friend.
Kein Problem, Dohalim.
Well, it sounds like everyone's learning from their past and using it to create a better future for everyone.
What about you, Shion? How do you feel about the origin of the Renans?
To be honest, I'm not really all that shocked, actually. I mean, I might be a Renan in the literal sense, but I've never really felt like one of them. Right now, it's kind of a mystery.
How do you mean?
Because for a really, really long time, all I ever thought about was how I was going to die. Not if or when, but how. I thought I'd die alone. That fate had me in its steely grip. I would have never imagined that I'd be traveling with someone like you, fighting to save Rena and Dana. I mean, how could I have? It's been going on for 300 years. All this tragedy and destruction. When you consider the Helganquil's part in all this, it's been even longer than that. It was Naori's hope that somehow, someone in the future would be able to stop it, before it was too late. How it fell on us, of all people, to heed that call, is a mystery.
I don't think Naori was hoping that we would just stop the world from getting destroyed. She considered me, a Danan, as a real person. And she very much cherished her own people, too. I don't think she wanted the world to be saved, just so they could go back to hurting each other. Oh, maybe this is what she meant.
Huh?
When we were talking to Kisara earlier, about all that stuff like everyone's needing to meet halfway and embrace each other's pain and suffering. She said that the first step down that path was for each of us to put aside our own hatred. That means forgiving other people. Even and especially before they forgive you.
Forgiving. So it goes both ways, right?
Ja,
Is that what you're saying?
Anders kann es nicht funktionieren.
Yeah. I don't just mean forgiving things that happened in the past either. Conflicts will keep happening. If we have any hope of moving on and building a better future, we have to all learn to forgive each other.
You know, you're right. People can hurt one another without even meaning to. I know that better than most, thanks to these thorns.
It's not going to be easy getting past this pain. But if we can do it, I'm sure there'll come a time when we can all truly understand each other. I'm there with you, Shion. I too want to protect the world we live in, and all the people we care about. I think that's the very least I can do to repay Naori for everything that she did.
Yeah. I want a future that she would feel proud to live in, and I'm going to fight for it.
Whoa there, Savior Girl. We're here to save you too, you know.
Yes, I know. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I want to live, and that's the honest truth.
Ja, und ich glaube, deswegen werden alle sterben, bis auf Elfen. Oder Elfen stirbt und alle anderen überleben.
Ready to do what needs to be done?
I am. There's a lot to think about, but at the end of the day, Dan is still in danger. I don't care who we're up against. We'll kick their ass.
So sieht's aus, Lo.
What are your thoughts, Alphen? I want to know what's on your mind, too.
Like Law said, if we have to fight the Great Spirit on Rena, then so be it. It's trying to rob us of our entire world. And it's going to take not just our home, but all of existence along with it. That alone is enough to make it our enemy. But it's not only that. One way or another, I think beating the Great Spirit is going to be tied to us saving Shion.
Ja, das glaube ich auch.
You're saying there's a chance?
You're referring to the vision of destruction we all saw in Lenegis, I take it?
Yeah. 3 centuries ago, the astral energy that appeared at the spirit channeling ceremony showed Naori that vision. And to hear Shion tell it, it's the same one that she sees from her own thorns as well.
Indeed. Shion's thorns are comprised of dark astral energy, the one type which we know is native only to Rena. And if Rena's great spirit is what's behind Dana's pending destruction, then...
Shion's thorns are the Great Spirit? It's not actually on Rena like we thought?
We don't know anything for certain. At the very least, though, I think it's possible her thorns are a part of the Great Spirit.
Das glaube ich auch, ja.
While the main body resides in Rena.
Shion.
If these thorns really are a part of Rena's great spirit, I'm going to go over there and give it a piece of my mind and then some.
Mach das, Mädel. Bin ich dabei.
The question is, how do we confront it? Suffice it to say, that flower growing out of Rena is enormous, large enough to house the will of an entire planet. The Wedge and Lenegis were both hard enough for us to overcome in their own right. This is an altogether greater challenge for merely 6.
Stimmt.
And
Aber
we only
machbar.
know about the Thorns connection thanks to Naori.
Hevric 35 has been observing the Great Astral Spirit this whole time. It wouldn't ask us to fight it unless it has a plan of some sort. Let's go see what that is.
Mitglieder, die deine Gruppe verlassen haben, sind zurückgekehrt.
So if the Sovereign and Maiden were originally boot-up programs for Lenegis, what about now?
Even with the Forbidden Zone in ruins and the Renaissance stolen, Lenegis is functioning fine. If it needed us before, it doesn't appear to now.
First they lumber you with a position you never asked for, then you're discarded like you're nothing? Who the hell do they think they are?
More importantly, who do they think we are? We might not even factor into their list of concerns.
I just hope everyone on Lenegis is safe.
Worst comes to worst, Lenegis is equipped with a large number of starships the people can escape in. As long as the whole satellite doesn't suddenly explode or something, they should be fine.
Wait, explode?
In any case, if we're truly going to make a difference, it's on Rena we're needed, not Lenegis. The people there will be fine, I'm sure of it.
Right.
Dann würde ich sagen, sprechen wir mit dem, ich bin nicht hier. Mittlere Ebene war das, wo wir hin müssen, ne? Ah ne, warte mal, wir waren ja noch gar nicht in der oberen Ebene, kann das? Oder waren wir da schon? Vergesslichkeitsscharen ist unterwegs. Ne, seht mal, hier waren wir noch nicht. Interessiert mich jetzt, was ist da drin? Oha. Eine coole Aussicht haben wir hier. Mehr auch nicht. Hübsch sah's aus. Gebracht hat's uns aber nicht viel. Dann gehen wir jetzt in die habe ich mich verklickt. Mensch. Das ist doch alles Humbug hier. Nochmal Fahrstuhl. Mittlere Ebene, danke. So, wir speichern jetzt hier aber ganz kurz.
Do you have your answer for me?
We want to ask something first. You're asking us to fight an entire planet. How exactly do you expect us to do that? You must have something up your sleeve, or else you wouldn't put us up to it.
The great astral spirit is an immense being, but its actual will does not run throughout its entire body. Rather, its will is derived from the core, which supports the rest of the body, and is where its strength is most densely concentrated. Therefore, if you destroy the core, the Great Spirit shall become unable to maintain sentience and return to being ordinary astral energy.
And how are we supposed to destroy that core?
By using the Renus Alma.
Durch Einsatz des Renus Alma.
You will also need the assistance of both the Sovereign and the Maiden. They are our best tools for suppressing and controlling astral energy. Using their powers, the Maiden shall seal the great astral spirit
Im
within
Körper
her body,
versiegeln.
and the Sovereign shall wield the power of the Renus Alma to destroy it.
Wenn die das durchziehen, dann stirbt Shione. Und Elfen muss Shione umbringen. Also wenn das wirklich so kommt, ist das ein richtig beschissenes Ende.
Hold on. That sounds a lot like what Shion described before.
Ja.
Yeah, killing herself to take out the thorns with her.
She was actually right all along.
Ja, es ist unvermeidlich.
By my calculations, your powers combined should be sufficient to destroy the great astral spirit and disperse its energy widely enough to make it difficult to reform.
What will happen to the Maiden once we manage to beat the great astral spirit?
Any matter contained within the field of destruction shall be erased.
Ja,
So it really will kill me.
This method is the most simple one available to destroy the Great Spirit, and is therefore our most reliable option.
What are our other options?
There is little reason to consider alternative courses of action when the most optimal among them is so clear.
You don't get it. I promised Shion that she wouldn't die, that we'd save the world without needing to sacrifice her.
Yeah.
We didn't fight this whole time just to give up on her at the very end. If there's any other way to take out the Great Spirit, I want to hear it.
This plan shall lead to the fewest losses in preserving your world. Abandoning it is irrational. It is vital that you proceed with this plan. A part of Rena's great astral spirit already resides within her. 300 years ago, the Great Spirit descended upon Lenegis in an attempt to assume direct control of the spirit channeling ceremony. We have reason to believe the Great Spirit left part of itself behind, and that it now resides in the Maiden.
Which would make Alphen's earlier hypothesis correct.
That part inside the Maiden belongs to the core, and can be used by the great astral spirit to revive itself. So long as it remains, it will be all but impossible to fully eradicate the Great Spirit. That is why it is necessary for it to be vanquished only once it is whole. Without the Maiden's direct control over the Great Spirit, attacking it is futile, and will only serve to strengthen it.
No.
Wait.
Yeah.
Naori said that the Renis Alma can suppress the self-realization of astral energy, and that the thorns can be neutralized by placing them in it. If so, can't the same also be done to the Great Spirit, seeing as the thorns are simply part of it?
Well, can it?
It is true that the Renis Alma is capable of what you suggest, and could contain the great astral spirit.
Yes!
However, doing so requires fine control on the level of the spirit channeling ceremony. Considering that the Renis Alma was previously lost when that ceremony failed, I cannot allow it. Its uncertainty is simply too great.
What does that mean for us if you won't allow it?
Your starship will not be restored, and you will all be unable to leave here.
Shit.
Why you?
Fine then. I'd rather stay here and rot than do it your way.
Alphen?
Ja, würde ich auch
Whatever
sagen.
we do, if we mess up, Dana's screwed. The Great Spirit will destroy it. If you're fine letting that happen, and we have nothing to gain either way, then I'd rather do nothing. We want to stop Dana from getting destroyed. We want to save it. But not if it means having to sacrifice one of us in the process.
Ja, würde ich auch
If all
nicht
you're
machen.
gonna do is sit back and watch us where it's safe, then quit ordering us around and shut up!
Ja, richtig so. Hat absolut recht. Würde ich nicht anders da machen jetzt.
What you say is irrational.
Ist mir
Be that as it
scheißegal.
may, I shall accede to your demand.
You'll agree?
I am an observer. The Sovereign, Maiden, and Renis Alma are my species' greatest achievement. I wish to see how well they work against the Great Spirit in light of our demise by its hands.
But what are we supposed to do about the Renis Alma? One of your buddies ran off with it back on Lenegis.
It is likely that the Renis Alma is with the Great Spirit, functioning as a catalyst for it to receive Dana's astral energy.
So our only option to retrieve it is to head straight for the Great Spirit and take it back?
According to my observations, the astral energy is most densely concentrated in the center of Rena, where the Great Spirit's core is located.
So right in the middle of that giant flower, then.
I have one more question. You've said that Rena's great astral spirit is already integrated with the planet. What will happen to Rena once it vanishes?
Without the will of the Great Spirit, Rena is predicted to collapse. Even in such a scenario, the energy will disperse, and the Great Spirit will likely not reform.
So you're saying that even if we manage to beat the Great Spirit without destroying it, we'll still be in danger?
Yep.
Likely, the collapse will occur in stages. It is recommended that you all escape before the final stage.
Man, I wish that thing would tell it to us straight for once.
Havrek 35 and the others have gotten used to hypothesizing from afar is all. Fix our starship. We're going to Rena.
Excellent.
But I want to make one thing clear. We're doing this for ourselves, to protect what matters to us. We're not doing it for your sake, or because you told us to. Remember that.
It matters little to me. The end result shall be the same.
Das stimmt.
Repair work on your starship has commenced. You'll have to wait until it's finished.
Die Wahrheit, Trophäe.
Is it too much to ask for Hevrick 35 to talk like a normal person? I swear I can feel my brain starting to fry after listening to all that complicated stuff.
Don't worry. I think we're mostly done with him. Now all we have to do is rest up and wait. Once the Fall Knights is good to go again, we'll be taking off for Rena right away. Is the Renis Alma really our only hope against the Great Spirit? There has to be another way, right?
Shion's Fire Master Core was able to suppress astral energy to prevent it from gaining sentience, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't we make use of that somehow?
I'm not sure. In small doses, maybe. And with the amount of energy we're talking about here.
Back in Calaglia, the Blazing Sword was able to take in a whole spirit vessel's worth of energy. If it has the capacity to manage that, it can do this, right?
Except after it absorbed the energy, it ended up releasing it all moments later, remember? Let's not forget, it nearly killed you. Besides, this is the Great Spirit we're talking about, not a paltry vessel. Even if I could use the Master Core, your body wouldn't be able to take the strain of channeling that much energy.
Hevrick 35 didn't mention it, and it did not seem the type to skimp on details, so assuming it's even possible, the chances are slim to none.
You're probably right.
Dann würde ich so nicht machen. Es wird ein Weilchen dauern, euer Raumschiff vollständig zu reparieren. Ich würde vorschlagen, dass ihr euch bis dahin etwas ausruht. Machen wir auch.
You still thinking about what the scientists told us? About where Renans really come from?
I am, but not for myself.
You're worried about the future of the Renan people.
The fact that our people have been the same this whole time will only give the Danans further reason to resent us.
Yeah.
But you still intend to confront this truth head-on, don't you?
Well, I did declare that I would live my life for the living, and not the dead. Even as I dream of retirement, I shall remain dedicated to the cause.
I'm sure you'll do great.
Now that I think about it, I don't believe I've ever heard you criticize or reproach us Renans even once.
I'm no saint. I have skeletons in my closet too. There was definitely a time when I hated Renans for who they were. I hated them just for being Renan. But you changed that, Dohalim. You gave me an opportunity to see them in a different light. Thanks to your reforms, we were able to stand next to Renans not as slaves, but as equals for the first time in our lives. Of course, I'm sure there were some Renans who still hated us on the inside. But we knew that not all of you were like that. There were those of you who were good, and that was a start. When it comes down to it, Renans are just people. They can be good or bad, just like Danans.
That is, in essence, the heart of your approach, isn't it? That we're all people.
Yeah, it is. When you can pull someone aside and talk to them one-on-one, then you have the chance to come to an understanding. But as soon as you stereotype, that chance goes away, and you stop thinking of them as people that you can relate to.
I understand what you're saying. But we're talking about massive numbers of Renans and Danans alike. Realistically speaking, surely they won't all be able to get along.
Even if we end up butting heads with one person, maybe we'll find better luck among their friends. If we can build a society that works like that, that'll be something worth nurturing and protecting.
So you wish for people to form real bonds and do away with the hierarchy outright. To deal with one another as humans, and nothing more. That's the ideal future you hope to see when this is all over?
Yes, I do. I think it would make for a fine tribute to my brother's legacy. Though, that said, I would be doing it for the people of the future first and foremost. Do you still plan to return to Lenegis when this is over?
Indeed I do. I don't know whether I'll be able to reside in Lenegis proper, however. My first order of business may be to find somewhere to live.
You'll always have a home in Menancia, you know.
As I shall ever keep in mind.
Well, if you ever need a helping hand, don't hesitate to come get me. I'll always be there for you, Doe.
Did you just... Never mind. Thank you, Kisara.
Doe.
I appreciate your patience as I work all this out.
Don't even mention it. And really, when you think about it, now that we know the two of us aren't so different after all, don't you think that brings down a barrier that used to be between us?
You know, I hadn't actually thought of it that way before. But I do like the sound of it.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Hey, why'd you call me here? Was there something you wanted to talk about?
Well, if everything we've heard about the Great Spirit is true, then we're getting close to our final battle.
Yeah.
So I wanted to apologize while I can.
Apologize? For what?
I was being real stupid before, about whether Dana's will had been controlling us and all that. I get why you're angry now. Anybody would be if something they trusted was being questioned. So, I'm sorry, Rinwell. Really. I should have kept my mouth shut.
No, Law. Honestly, I think you might have been onto something. Of course you were worried. Who wouldn't be if they found out there might be some invisible force pulling our strings this whole time?
But you really trust Dana's will, don't you? Is it because you can sense it a lot more than the rest of us? Because you can understand it?
Yeah, I think that might be part of it. But I also want to believe it's good.
Believe?
Remember how I used to really resent coming from a family of mages?
Yeah, of course. Because you were always on the run and had to live in hiding.
When we rescued Zephyr and I finally decided to come along with you all, something changed inside me. It was the first time I felt like my powers had any meaning, even if that meaning was only helping you guys fight. Then, when I felt Dana's will, I was overwhelmed by how vast and warm it was. It made me want to believe my powers were made to connect with it. It made me believe I had a bigger purpose.
So that's why you hope it doesn't turn out to be bad. You almost need it to be kind.
Yeah.
Well, alright. Then I promise I'll lay off bad-mouthing it.
You will?
There's no way for me to know for sure one way or the other, right? But you trust it, Rinwell, and that's enough for me. So I'll trust it because you do.
Remember what I said about neither planet's great spirit reaching us here?
Yeah?
That's not quite true. I can feel just a little bit of Rena's inside you and everyone else.
Yes.
You... what?
I sensed it when we first got here. It's a really small amount, so it doesn't feel like it has a will of its own. But I think that's how Dana's energy probably is too.
So you're saying there's a little bit of Dana's will inside each of us? In a way, doesn't that mean we're all Dana's will?
What?
Vielleicht.
Well, like you said, Unless Dana's energy comes together, it has no will. So if we all have a little bit of Dana's astral energy inside us...
Yeah,
Kann sein.
maybe.
Hefrick 35 might know the answer. But, you know what? I don't need to ask it. My will is my own. I fight for who I want to fight for. That's who I am now. Who I've become. So thanks, Rinwell, for sharing that with me.
Die sind ein süßes Paar.
To be honest, the only reason I was suspicious of Dana's will... Well, I mean, it mostly was... I feel like you and I had grown apart lately, and I was worried it was because...
Huh?
Never mind. Nothing. Just forget about it.
Huh? No, what were you saying?
Saying? I don't remember
Come
saying
on.
anything.
Now you won't tell me what you were
No,
thinking?
that's not what I'm saying.
Then spit it out already.
Tja, anteasern und dann nicht zu Ende reden, das hasse ich auch wie die Pest. Irgendwie platzt bei mir auch die Hutschnur.
You sure you don't want to get some rest?
I can't. I've got too much on my mind. Especially knowing how close our last battle is. How are you doing, Xion?
Same as you, still trying to absorb everything.
Remember when it was so simple? We were only fighting all the lords on Dana?
Ja.
Well, that feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
Das stimmt.
Ages and ages ago. Everything that's happened since we first met. So many fights, so much chaos, so many wonderful people.
If I hadn't run into you that day, well, I wouldn't have met all of you. I never would have held the blazing sword or looked for something more. I wouldn't have my memories back. I'd still be a faceless slave, like as not long dead.
Hey, Alphen. I want you to promise me something.
Yeah?
If we can't find the Renis Alma, there's something I want you to do.
Soll sie umbringen.
Like Hevrecht 35 said, the only way we can end the Great Spirit for good is to go after both the main body in Rena and the thorns in me. I need you to promise me, Alphen, that if for some reason we can't get the Renis Alma back,
Dass wir sie
you'll
umbringen.
use the blazing sword to destroy the Great Spirit, and me along with it.
Huh?
Das würde ich nicht
It's
machen.
true the blazing sword may not have the strength of the Renis Alma. But it's taken us this far. It's slain lords and beasts. At the very least, it has to be worth a try.
You can't be serious. Have you forgotten everything
Listen,
that we've...
the Great Spirit isn't just our problem. It's a threat to our entire world. Renans and Danans alike. We don't know what's going to happen when we face it, but we need to be prepared for anything. We can't second-guess ourselves when the time comes. I promise you, I'm not planning on going anywhere. I'm prepared to fight with absolutely everything I've got. But if it comes down to it, I need you to be prepared too.
Okay. But you should know that I'm not going to give up on you, Xion. I'm going to fight this until the very end. I hope you can forgive me for that.
Alphen.
Ich habe eine ganz böse Vorahnung.
Okay, I understand. And I'll forgive you.
Thank you, Xion.
So it's a promise then?
Yeah, it's a promise.
I remember how I felt the first time you touched me. My thorns made any contact a mistake no one would ever make twice. After they'd seen what could happen, fear would always linger behind their eyes. In my entire life, I never had someone willingly reach out to me. But when you reached out to me and gently took my hand, you didn't react at all. It was so easy for you. I don't have words for the shock I felt in that moment.
That's because I couldn't feel pain back then.
Even once you could, though, you still chose to keep reaching out to me. And when you did, I felt this warmth that I had never known before. But still, I hate having to see you suffer through it every time you do.
You won't have to worry about that for much longer.
You think so?
I do, because Xion,
No. You can tell me once my thorns are gone. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Ich glaube, so weit wird es nicht kommen, dass er sagen kann, dass er sie liebt. Mittlerweile, nach dem allem, was wir jetzt erfahren haben, schätze ich das Spiel so ein, dass das Game ein richtiger Dämpfer als Abschluss hat.
Everybody get enough rest? We ready for this?
Yeah, we should probably get moving.
Agreed. Can't stand around waiting all day.
Our task is relatively straightforward. We need only descend down to Rena, defeat the Great Spirit, and restore stability to both worlds.
We're fighting for a new future for both Dana and Rena.
Right. We've come this far. We will save our worlds. That's a promise.
Then let's go, everybody. We've got one last wall to tear down.
Repairs on your starship are complete. Everything is in working order.
Is that you, Hevrek 35? You can see us from where you are?
I can. I can see anywhere within the bounds of Dake Faisal.
Sounds like someone's a peeping Tom.
Maybe we should give Hevrek 35 a break. It has been stuck in this tiny facility for a very, very long time.
I have unlocked all functions on your starship. You can now make use of its warp drive.
Warp drive? Wait, you mean like what the Red Women used on us? What brought us here?
It's possible that the Red Women may have found a way to activate it on the starship. They are Helganquil, after all.
Using the warp drive, you should be able to breach Rena's atmosphere without being detected.
Wait, should?
You'll need to be careful. Due to the force field surrounding Rena, the ship will be unable to go any further than the surface of the planet.
So, once we reach the shell, it appears we'll have to infiltrate the core by foot. Understood.
We gotta go all the way down just walking?
Will all the Helganquil go back to normal once we defeat the Great Spirit? I have a strange feeling we're going to have to fight them before this is all over.
The extinction of my people is inevitable at this stage. As such, it would be illogical to risk the success of the mission in a vain attempt to save my kind.
We understand.
Can't that thing lighten up a bit? Everything it says seems to be about what's illogical.
Well, come on, Doe.
Hold up, did you just...
You heard the lady. Get going.
I have one last question.
What?
As Sovereign, your identification number indicates that you are well past your predicted life expectancy.
300 Jahre.
Similarly, the Maiden lacks any identification number, as her function should have been rendered unnecessary. Despite this, the two of you continue to exist. Why?
We exist because others have entrusted this to us. Over the years, many people have come together and sworn to see this through to the end.
You mean it is because of multiple chance interactions? The likelihood of such events is statistically improbable. Why have you two continued to persist under these conditions?
It's hard to explain. To be honest, I don't think it's something an observer could understand. All right, time to get back on the Fall Knights.
Wir könnten jetzt natürlich... Also... Andere Sache. Ich drücke mal dafür kurz Start. Wir könnten jetzt natürlich noch bis 13 Uhr spielen. Aber da müsste ich aufhören. Egal, ob wir das Ende erreicht haben oder nicht. Wenn dann der Abspann ist, kann ich halt kein Review zu dem Spiel machen. Wenn meine Frau anruft, weil ich will nicht die ganze Zeit da eine Stunde dann Pause im VOD haben. Ich tendiere gerade dazu, einen Break zu machen bis nächste Woche und dann entdecken wir gemeinsam das Ende. Auch weil ich mir noch überlegen muss, was wir als nächstes dann Donnerstag spielen werden. Denn Bioshock hat ja nicht funktioniert, geht ja nicht zum Stream, warum auch immer. Das kommt ja jetzt als Let's Play auf YouTube am jeden Donnerstag, weil Hogwarts Legacy fertig ist. Und ich glaube, es wäre vielleicht doch besser, wenn wir jetzt hier einen Cut machen. Einen kleinen Cliffhanger mal wieder, den wo ihr so liebt bei mir, bei uns auf dem Kanal. Ich mir bis nächste Woche dann ein neues Spiel also für übernächste Woche, weil nächste Woche spielen wir ja noch Tales of Arise fertig. Für donnerstags raussuchen werde. Oder auch eine Umfrage mit wieder verschiedenen Spielen, wobei die letzte Umfrage, wo es um das Spiel für den Sonntag ging, keiner abgestimmt hat. Was schade war. Mal gucken, vielleicht mache ich eine Umfrage, vielleicht auch nicht. Auf jeden Fall, wir machen jetzt hier einen Cliffhanger mal wieder. Da könnt ihr euch noch auf eine Folge Tales of Arise nächste Woche Donnerstag freuen. Ich freue mich da auch übel drauf, denn ich bin gespannt, wie es weitergeht. Oder wie es endet. Ich habe eine ganz düstere Prognose. Aber es macht jetzt nicht wirklich Sinn, jetzt noch die paar Minuten zu spielen, wenn ich dann aufhören muss. Und wenn wir dann gerade im Bossfight drin sind, dann wäre es halt scheiße. Deswegen seht's mir nach. Und wir entdecken das Ende dann gemeinsam. Nächsten Donnerstag. Morgen ist Freitag. Morgen kommt Alien Isolation ab 22 Uhr. Steht ja auch im Plan drin. Und nein, diese Woche werden wir, beziehungsweise diese Woche, wir werden Alien Isolation morgen richtig spielen. Und ja, ich muss meine Angst überwinden, aber wir werden es richtig spielen. Jetzt nur eine Stunde, wir werden da durchziehen ein paar Stunden, okay? Wir werden da ein paar Stunden durchziehen und dann also auf jeden Fall 2-3 Stunden machen. Egal wie es verläuft. Denn wir spielen das Spiel auch im Stream durch. Habe ich mich dazu letzte Woche entschlossen, nachdem ich das VOD online gestellt hatte. Gut, dann machen wir das so. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Euer Infinity und vor allem schaut auf YouTube vorbei, wenn ihr Bock habt. Lasst ein Abo da, wenn ihr Bock habt. Oder ein Like. Und schaut euch die VODs an auf Twitch. Und seid morgen dabei bei Alien Isolation im Stream ab 22 Uhr, wenn ihr Bock habt. Und samstags und sonntags bei Madison und Watch Dogs Legion, wo jetzt diesen Sonntag auch definitiv stattfinden wird, falls Sony nicht wiederum spacken sollte. Gut, genug gebabbelt. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen, bis zum nächsten Mal. Euer Infinity, bis dann, ciao.